Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 165, where the very last thing my son said before I clicked record was, "I love Stardust." And I don't know how many people...
We're talking about Stardust.
I got my own little private figuring it out here, since you said you don't really have any new figures, but you were talking about figures you want.
I just want to get like the old Elite Stardust and then specifically the basic where he's got the purple and silver, because I think that's a cool gear.
Yes, this was a lot of our sound check, was you describing things, which actually worked out as a good sound check. So I still wish I'd kept all the sound checks and put them into one giant.
That'd be kind of funny.
Well, there's several
It's
with me yelling at you, right?
The ones where we're actually talking about something.
Some of them are me getting very angry.
Yeah.
And some, not anymore. You've sort of come around to doing the sound check agreeably to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
But my trick is get you talking about something and then just start it, because you'll not even know I'm doing it, and
No,
you talk
I like
at a
that
normal.
better, because then I don't got to think about it.
Because under pressure, when you're thinking about it, you talk really quietly, and I can't set the levels very well. But anyways.
Yeah, and then I'm just like, I don't know.
But we're back. Welcome back if you're
green
returning.
Stardust.
Welcome if you're a new listener. We're going to talk about a bunch of wrestling. Eventually, we'll deep dive AEW Dynamite, NXT. We'll talk some, even just watch MLW. I don't think it'll come up. But,
no, probably not.
some main roster stuff.
They should make Fastlane Stardust where he doesn't have a shirt on.
And he won't talk about Stardust the whole time, I
No.
promise. He might. Well, he could, probably.
I could easily find a way to segue anything into Stardust.
Right.
I honestly would like to make a game of that. That would be kind of funny.
So I think last time we met down here, we were about to be heading out to a local indie show, which we went to, which it's great Canadian wrestling, and we enjoy going. It's really affordable. It's always for charity. They collect stuff for...
I'd say it's more aptly
banks.
like pretty adequate Canadian wrestling.
Yeah, true. This was probably my least favorite. We've been to what? I think I've been to maybe 5 or 6, and you maybe one.
I've been
fewer.
to like a handful probably.
And still enjoyed myself. Like, I'll always have fun at an indie show, but definitely felt like they had trouble getting a full roster for this card, right? Because we got a really, really lengthy segment, basically, I would say, with leading to a tag team title match that it's a double strap match, right? That we think we'll go back to check that out. Check out
I think
indie.
that's the next one at Aurora.
So what's Brother Yates' team or faction called?
Saved Boys.
What is it, sorry?
Saved Boys.
Saved Boys, that's right. And they're like cult people in their shirts and ties. So they'll be defending against who? I don't even remember. This is what you're struggling
your
too.
Your boy, the Bone Crusher, that guy, and then...
Oh, Steve Brown.
And Gunnar Lang, who's
my least favorite. And yeah, the other guy's okay. So, and then... as usual at indie shows, one of the highlights is people watching, right? So we had some very
super hyper kids.
Yeah, and the little boy was cute. Like, he was, I don't know if he's already a wrestling fan or if dad just brought him to an indie show for something to do, but he was on the edge of his
constantly,
seat.
like yeah.
And then
some people in the row in front of us were.
Yeah.
There was the one kid who kept getting up and like chickening, and then that girl who kept
oh,
shouting.
Right. Because they were calling the heel tag team chickens, so there was a lot of audience participation.
And then we saw our boy from the one other show on commentary.
Oh, that's right. One of our fans, we always find these fans to focus on at indie shows. So at one, if you go
people
back,
watching is half the fun.
If you go back, I'm sure we talked about him, who was like documenting his time at the show on Instagram or whatever, very, very energetically, would you say?
Like lip syncing to a song, like kind of TikTok style, something like that. And so yeah, I found his radio show.
Oh my god! So we rolled into this one, and Jack's like, "Look!" And there he is. He's doing commentary for Great Canadian Wrestling. So clearly, if you were just a little more demonstrative and like, not our style at all,
post stuff like that,
as you could probably
FNS.
tell.
No, I'll get on it.
We are not super high energy. Put on feign anything for content.
No.
We just sit down and talk about stuff that pretty much how we would talk about it in our living room, to be honest. That's kind of
maybe a little more formal.
That's our gimmick, So
or lack thereof.
But yeah, it's still a fun show. The main event was the guy with the Atlas, right? I always say with the back scars, because they are incredible.
He was facing it's Robbie Reckless or something like that.
And the middle-aged lady group across from us seemed to enjoy his presence on the show. Their energy picked up
little bit.
He is a very, very physically fit young man, so they seemed to be fans
They're
of
gonna
his.
enjoy that, yeah.
But yeah, a fun show overall. Again, not the strongest that they've offered, but again, whatever. It's like $13 or something. So with stuff going to charity, so I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else exciting from your week? Working again? What's your new title you've given yourself at work?
I call myself Part-Time Supreme.
Part-Time Supreme. You're now the...
I believe, if I'm correct, I'm the longest part-timer there, I think.
Longest reigning champion.
Yeah.
Zare's champion.
I think because we have like a few full-timers and then that's it. But I think out of any of the part-time people, I'm longest, which makes me sad.
Yes, because you were saying you just had a part-timer dismissed for things that he shouldn't have been doing at work.
Yeah. And then obviously my other buddy left in the summer.
And you've only been there just over a year.
Yeah. And then one of the guys is on student leave. He's older than me, but I've been there longer.
And you are training new people, which is fun.
I'm training, which is
good for you, buddy. Clearly, you're doing
good people, I guess.
a good job if they're letting you train other people.
I don't want to train.
I know, but it's...
Unlike some people here, I don't like to teach.
And I know, right, and I know that it's a compliment to you, but you don't care about that either. The fact that they'll let you, that's a compliment to you.
Well, now with what's-his-face being gone, I'm kind of... If it's not Tony, I feel like I'm the only option because I don't think the older guys are going to really train. I think they're usually like, they kind of pick up the scraps kind of because, older and whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. That's interesting, I guess, but...
And I was telling you work tonight until 9. It is Saturday, September 16th, and that we're having an event. You'll hear it on the banter here a lot. We have lots of stuff going on our street, a really cool group of families we kind of hang out with. So it's Garage Band tonight, which not only am I recording this podcast in Garage Band right now as we speak, full disclosure, but that's what we call the event where our buddy Mike is a drummer for a cover band. I think they're really good. They play mostly stuff from the 90s that I love.
I was going to ask who they specifically cover.
And guess what? Because I'm an audio nerd,
White Stripes qualifies as 90s. I know you. I heard you talking.
Yeah, so I texted Mike, the drummer, and said, like, hey, man.
Hey, can I be a groupie?
I did. I said a roadie. I'd be a completely...
That's what I meant. Sorry, roadie, yes.
Yeah, different. Very different. A completely inexperienced free roadie, just because with my sort of curiosity and audio stuff from doing this and my gear attainment syndrome that I have, I want to go check out.
Gear attainment syndrome.
It's called Gas. I think Bark on Obscure Mics, my buddy. Go check out his YouTube. He's awesome.
Gas. You're gassy.
He's a good dude. Yeah, and I have that. I don't need any more audio gear. The stuff we're using sounds perfectly fine, I think.
No.
But I just want more. And nothing expensive. Like that mic you're on, $26,
I don't need more things, but I still buy things.
Exactly.
I'm running out of space for figures, but here we are, and I'm not
same. And I have 15 microphones. Do I need more? No. Do I already have some in a box or on a wish list, probably on Amazon or something?
Have I already thought about buying another lightsaber? Yes.
Exactly. We all have our
Will I
issues.
get one? Probably.
Yeah. So, but anyways, so I'll be going down to that show tonight. That'll be a good time. If you'll hear it on your walk home from work.
Training again today.
Nice.
Same guy, but I think honestly,
so you just get them to do your work, right?
I do. That's the part I enjoy.
You show them how to do it, and then you don't have to do it.
Shovel things onto them. But I think the two guys.
It's called delegate. Okay, you need to learn the proper language to sound all of the things you do. They have official functions. You are delegating, which is what leaders do. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not pawning it off on anyone.
No,
you're delegating.
I'm a great leader. That's
a delegator. That's it.
I think they're pretty good. It's weird because I'm training grown people.
Right.
Like the guy yesterday, he's got a full-time job. He works for the city of Toronto. He's just doing this for extra money.
That's where we're at. With things being so expensive, people are getting extra gigs.
I think that's fine, but then it's weird that I talked to Maddie about it, my friend in Hot Deli.
That's just how it is.
It's just weird training because
you are a teenage boy. They are grown adult.
Well, and especially because just I saw two names a couple weeks ago. I saw the two names on the sheet, with the schedule sheet, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. And obviously, I'm not thinking part-timer. Usually, I'm not expecting grown people. So
sure.
I don't know.
But it makes sense.
It does make sense to some degree, but it's just weird. I was expecting / hoping for people I'd either know or at least someone from school at the very least.
But no.
Neither, because the one guy, I think he's saving for a college course, and then obviously the one we got full time, and then there's the girl who I haven't met yet, and then we're cross-training someone from Salad Bar, and then obviously, guy got fired, so I don't know if that means we're getting another spot. I would hope so, because honestly, the more the merrier, and then the hours will shuffle around finally.
Yeah.
Because money, but I don't know.
You are working a lot.
It's just it's tiring, but also it makes it a little more annoying to keep on top of school.
And I'm
not saying it's impossible, but it's just
No, I know.
cumbersome.
And you're like me, and you like to be at home too, and
I
just
just
doing
like
your own
to
thing at home.
be able to do things. Yeah,
I agree.
I mean, like, sure, money, yes, but like, especially nowadays, I don't find myself going out as much. So
And that's the lesson to take away: is you want to find a career where the money to time for yourself ratio is good. Not saying you got to be rich. Like my profession, I make in Canada, I make a very decent salary. So does your mom, and we get lots and lots of time off.
hmm
So that's a quality of life choice to me, right? Where you're looking for a job and
that's the
hoping
tricky part. Yeah.
to find the free time to salary ratio so that you
Mhm.
can live comfortably. I will never be rich, obviously, even that's not. I mean, obviously, this podcast blows up and we make millions. I would
Yeah,
like
we're just
like
waiting
Joe
for it.
Rogan,
We're
like
just waiting for it.
14 million a year.
We're going above him
off
though.
our dozens and dozens of listeners.
I'm
right?
better than Joe Rogan.
Right, and the fact that we never ask for any money and never have any sponsors and never do ads because
And
this
are
is
really bad at social media.
this is a hobby for us. So this is what we
which
do.
will
It's
make
fun.
us rich.
Which is, unfortunately, people have to sit and listen to us banter for 11 minutes. Actually, they don't because I put in timestamps. But
They probably skipped already.
we should probably get talking about wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's do that. First segment, as always, every week for 165 episodes, probably. And that is looking at some of the week's wrestling news and rumors. All right, so taking a look at some of the week's ratings, and I am going to add Collision in just out of curiosity right after the Punk departure to see. I imagine you are like me, where you're selfishly hoping the numbers don't plummet, because I want evidence that he is not the major draw that some people
Wait,
are.
you do want them to plummet or you don't?
I don't. If they plummet, that means everyone was there to see Punk.
Oh, okay.
If they don't plummet, people are like, whatever.
Right.
Which I would prefer, selfishly.
Okay, yeah.
Cards on the table, in that sense. So, NXT first, though. They averaged 850,000 viewers this week. That is huge for them. Up 26.3%. Earned a 0.26 in the key demographic. That's up just over 44%. So, this is a meaningful little thing they added here. The 7th highest audience total in the history of the show. So that seems relevant to me.
Somewhat.
And best viewership since 2020, late October 2020. And this was
back in the good gold days. Oh, we have forgotten about that.
This was the episode where Becky Lynch is challenging for the NXT Women's Championship against Tiffany Stratton, and I'll talk about that in Highspots and Restholds later. So it's clear that the main roster stuff is working, and that in more particular, Becky Lynch is a draw, right? So, and these numbers
She draws more than Seth.
yeah. And these numbers, as I'm going to talk about in a second here, are similar to Dynamite this week. So that's really impressive. I wonder if NXT will get any ideas, right? Or WWE management like, ooh, if we keep doing this, we could maybe compete with Dynamite sort of thing. And then they'd love to be like, look, our third brand does better or comparable to Dynamite. I think that's all they really want to be able to say. Yeah, right? So Dynamite this week was 888,000 viewers. So just under 40,000 above NXT. And that's almost the same as last week. They picked up 1,000 viewers, which isn't super significant, and a 0.31 in the key demo, which is exactly the same. So incredibly consistent from last week, with NXT really, really closing the gap. So then I did look at Collision as well. So it averaged 476,000 viewers on TNT, which is up 38% from the previous week's series low. So clearly it looked like it dropped off, but now it's back. So it's tied for the 4th lowest audience total the show has done since June. There haven't been that many, right? So it's not really that significant a critique. So it sounds like it's bounced back. We haven't been tracking it enough to know if those are like the usual numbers or whatever from kind of average, but because that was a big jump from last week. So it looked like dipped, what was that, the first week Punk was gone, and then sort of rebounded. So we'll see. What do you have for us?
The kind of surprising news of the week that I thought was the PWI 500's top 10 has been put out. So I'm not sure. I guess it means.
Oh, it's just the top 10 for now?
Yeah.
Okay,
it'll come out soon.
Let's talk about it. Let's go from 10 because I don't know if I remember. I know the top 3 because we talked.
We'll go from 10. Yeah, the top. Yeah. The winner. This year's winner is like he makes sense. He's probably was in the conversation, but like just out of the big people this year are in the past calendar year, I wouldn't have picked him.
I think it's one of those things where when you first see who number 1 is, you're surprised. But then if you were like really to lay out the years these people have had, you'd be like, well, yeah.
It also depends on your criteria.
And it's at least he's in the conversation, right? Like
he definitely is, yeah. But out of the people in the conversation, I probably wouldn't have expected him. It's just I think it's the PWI criteria. I forget what exactly it is, but
What a teaser we're doing here.
it's something like that.
So let's start at 10.
Number 10 is Cody Rhodes, which is fair. I guess he's probably gone largely win. Like
it doesn't seem out of place.
He
I'll
wins
have to
probably most of the time. I think he lost to Roman, maybe lost to Brock once, and then
it was a big deal. It's
also the Rumble win he got in the in the evaluation period. So.
Yeah, I mean, at first I'll see what the other 9 are, right, to see where he fits. But on the list makes sense.
I think usually it ends in like the summer their evaluation period. So this probably goes back to like latter 2022.
Okay.
If we have to bear in mind.
Okay.
Josh Alexander.
Yeah.
Probably before his injury.
Right. He had a great year.
I think it's fair. Orange Cassidy getting number 8, which I thought was really awesome.
Yes.
It's good for him.
Great year.
Just considering how much he's grown. I think that's awesome. For him to even get the top 10 is pretty crazy.
Yep.
Okada's 7, which I feel like he's usually always in that orbit, given how much he's on top in New Japan.
Yep.
MJF's at 6, which was a little surprising for me. I figured he would be a little higher. I thought, but I guess with how much he doesn't wrestle,
that's probably it.
Then we get Vikingo at number 5, which I guess I don't really know because I'm not super on.
Done a ton of stuff in whatever AAA and whatever was champion. This is when he really seems to have like burst on the scene, sort of thing. So
Gunther's at 4, which is pretty awesome.
Sorry, who?
Gunther.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
he's obviously like lossless.
And we're getting the IC title back to prominence and back to feeling like this is, well, it's been the most important title, I would suggest, just because he's been holding it forever too. But I
think it would be if not for Roman.
I guess so.
It's a whole different beast with Roman.
Yep.
That's not really Gunther's fault. I think
great for Gunther.
Out of Roman, I think his belt definitely feels. It still feels secondary, obviously, but IC title's always been secondary, so it's a little better than Rollins' belt because
I think so.
Rollins' belt shouldn't be secondary, but it very clearly, unfortunately, is.
Because there's just no lineage or anything, right? Like
there's no lineage, but also just because the way they introduced it did it no favors whatsoever.
And it's clearly just like we're never taking the belt off Roman, so we need something that can change hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 3 is my boy Moxley.
Yep.
That's pretty sweet. I think he had a good year because I think the evaluation period would probably include when he was champion for a bit, when he was picking up the pieces of the Punk fiasco last year.
The first Punk fiasco?
The first Punk fiasco, yeah. When Moxley's kind of playing like cleanup.
And I think
he is how he is.
Any of these top 3 guys on the podium, you could make your case for each one, right? So Moxley for sure.
And obviously now he's champion, but I don't think that's eclipsed by the evaluation period. I think it's probably outside of it.
I think so too.
But even so, I think he's had a pretty solid year, so that's awesome for him. So we're happy with that. Number 2 is Roman Reigns, which is pretty crazy. Yep. But I think because of how much his schedule laxed,
I agree.
Since last year, it probably keeps him like it probably detracts a bit from his potential of topping it again.
Yep.
Because he's obviously gone. I don't know if he's gone lossless because I feel like the Money in the Bank loss might have counted. I don't know.
And he's the biggest part of the biggest story for the whole year.
And the biggest company.
I just looked up the specific evaluation period. So it's July 1st, 2022.
Okay, so
to July 31st, 2023.
July to July.
Basically. Okay. Or like July to August because it goes to the last day of first day of July to first day of August.
So that's kind of our buffer there. So yeah, it would probably include Money in the Bank then. He just probably stretch back to like before Clash of the Castle too.
I think Roman just doesn't wrestle enough.
No.
Like you're the biggest part of the biggest thing, but you never wrestle.
Someone's wrestling more than.
And to me, there's the added little wrinkle of we always know who's winning your matches. So that kind of knocks everything down a tiny bit for me because I never feel like he's losing.
And number 1, much to my surprise, but not to my dismay, is Mr. Seth Rollins.
So a clean sweep for the Shield.
Which is
crazy.
Those are my boys, though. That is pretty sweet. Awesome,
yeah.
Obviously. And Rollins now has tied Cena for the most number 1 spots because he was also 2015 and 2019. So now Rollins has 3, which is pretty crazy. And to me, it's surprising because, I don't know, I just thought Roman would probably clinch it again.
Right.
Just because it just seems like how things would go. But also because now with having the evaluation period more clear, 2022 was not a strong year win-wise for Seth.
No, because you were much frustrated for that.
Yeah, he lost most of the year.
Yes. I remember you were not a fan.
Until he won the U.S. title, that, he lost a bunch. But, I mean, in the evaluation period now, we can look at probably Clash of the Castle. He beat Riddle. He did lose Fight Pit. But he beat Riddle, and then he obviously won the U.S. title in that period. So that would mean that the evaluation period would probably eclipse his U.S. title, his world heavyweight title, obviously, and probably the win over Logan Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like probably his 3 main.
And every
ones.
match is good to great.
He has
right?
a bunch of great matches, and he wrestles constantly too.
Correct.
Unlike Roman, he's constantly on. Especially this year, now that he's winning more, he's probably wrestling constantly like he did last year, but now winning as well.
And I haven't
So
loved
I think
his
it kinda makes
character
sense.
work, but some people do.
I like his character. I think it's kind of wishy-washy right now.
Yeah.
Just not to be biased.
And
like,
people love the
to
theme
contradict
song.
my
That's
bias.
part of
his
it.
theme's great.
The presentation.
I've always enjoyed his theme songs. Yeah, I think his character's like kind of wishy-washy right now. I think it's good, but it's just like a little ambiguous. I feel like.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I think the top 10 generally makes sense. There's a couple surprises, I think, but I think it's pretty cool. The Shield round out the top, which is pretty crazy.
I'm not smart enough off the top of my head to be like, are there any snubs in that top 10? Any omissions? But like, would people be like, what about Omega? What about Osprey?
I think Osprey probably got snubbed. I think that's a good one.
Now that just comes to mind.
I think
that
so, yeah.
has to be a snub.
Because he did lose to him, but he won the title back. Like, Forbidden Door counts. I don't know really. I feel like just not knowing all the specifics, but I feel like Osprey probably got snubbed.
Yeah.
Omega, I would probably say no.
And again, I'd have to see it all laid out because I'm just
with Omega. I think he came back from injury either before or during the evaluation period. Then they won the trios titles, which probably helped for his ranking, obviously. But then, obviously, the whole brawl out thing kept them out for a bit. Then he did more trios titles, which was a win for them, but obviously not the most high profile stuff. Also, they probably lost a bunch of matches in the 7 series, right? So they were winning and losing.
Had to have because it had to go 7.
Then they didn't have a lot of defenses. Then they lost House of Black. Then it was kind of like 50-50ing with Blackpool. So honestly, and he lost to Osprey too. So
there's that memory, folks. I
don't feel like Omega got snubbed. I feel like if he's not top 20, then he got snubbed.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was a top 10 period for him.
Right.
I think so. That one's fair. Osprey, I feel like you could probably make the case for him getting snubbed because he was U.S. champ a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
He probably had a lot of bangers in there. So
yeah, guaranteed.
I mean, would this eclipse the G1? Because then you might have to include his Okada win and.
It would, right?
And
Last
he beat
year's.
Omega, and so yeah. No, I mean this year's G1. Would that count?
No, I don't think.
Okay, no, right? I don't know.
I'd have to double check the dates. I feel like no.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like generally it's a pretty good one. Josh Alexander's a little weird, but I think if it concludes last year, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, we'll be getting that magazine. We still pick it up whenever we see it at the local Shoppers Drug Mart, generally, right?
The 500's my favorite one. I also like the year-end awards. I still got the one where Adam Cole was.
You have it on display
Wrestler
here.
of the Year here.
If we ever do video again, you'll see it.
Yeah. But I always like the year.
Yep.
Evaluation ones or whatever, those kind of things.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
All right. So now moving on to maybe some talent moving on. Fightful's reporting that it looks like Jade Cargill, right, is believed to be finishing up with AEW. And sources within both AEW and WWE told Fightful they believe Cargill's on her way to WWE. Meltzer also noted on Observer Radio that fans in attendance to the tapings felt like Cargill was saying her farewell to AEW and that she was waving to the crowd as she was leaving and that she and Statlander hugged after the match. So, and I mean, you couldn't build a more WWE star in a lab pretty much, right? So
yeah, they are going to, not Vince, but they are just kind of a field deal with her.
And her in-ring...
Honestly, it's kind of a China thing.
And this comes across as an insult, and I don't mean it. It's just the way it is, I think. Her in-ring ability will be less of a factor there.
Yeah, it's going to be less of a glaring...
I know that sounds snotty.
Shortcoming.
Like, AEW is where the workers are, but it's just a different
it's
style.
It's just the style they work.
And I feel like it's motivated by WWE treating them more like they're an investment and trying to protect them and keep them like they're trying to have them work safer.
And it's more with
in
that.
AEW,
they lean way more into the quote unquote entertainment aspect of things.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's also part of it. They place less emphasis on the wrestling just in general.
Yeah, and AEW feels more like we just want super indie guys to come and do whatever you want, right? Like just do your thing, do your style,
right, and
which
I
I prefer.
Yeah, and they're working more wrestling matches.
Both there's merits to both, right? It's
I feel like she
could
do good there, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. And I don't. We wanted to like her.
She just plateaued
really
for
did.
too long.
And her character was good, and she's good on the mic, but there was zero evolution. Yeah, zero.
Yeah, it's just like it evolved. Like, I think pretty good for how short she was there, and then it plateaued for a year.
And then matches were the same, and then every couple matches she would add one more kind of cool move, but
Well, they just gave her too many
That's about
squash title defenses. It was
Yeah.
kind of BS.
Yeah.
Like,
So I don't know.
TBS.
I hope she becomes a star because
Yes.
I think she obviously like the look is there, the mic work is
yeah,
there.
but
So
they just brought in Naya, so now it's like one of the new people's gonna suck.
the things that WWE treasures, she has. So she'll probably be fine.
Yeah, they'll probably like her like they like China.
Right.
And honestly, she's probably the most China person they could get because some people made that comparison with Beth Phoenix, but I feel like you can make that case for Cargill much more.
Booker talks about it all the time on NXT still, passes the airport test, right? Like if that person walks through an airport, people take notice. And Jade Cargill passes that with flying colors. So
Yeah, for sure.
they'll love her.
Sometimes literally colors because her hair was green before.
That'd be part of it, yeah.
I guess I'm not gonna call them that. GYV recently departed WWE at the expiry of their contracts.
Yeah.
I believe they are out now.
Yeah, I saw that too. And this past week on NXT, because I don't think I included it as a high spot or a rest hold, you had Gacy and Ava sort of outside talking about the tree being rotten and they're more isolated than ever. So they put then they touch this tree at
The tree
it's like a
rotted out.
fallen tree, and then they like put their hands on the tree. So I think that's symbolizing that 2 of the 4 roots, even though they've had like 30 people in the faction,
37 roots.
Right. So, yeah, it looks like they are gone. And
Yeah.
man, they're a talented team. So I hope they end up somewhere that we watch, which
Yeah.
I guess would mean
AEW.
right, because we don't watch much else too often.
I
so.
do hope they end up there. I think that would be a
They're good,
great
man.
use.
They're good.
That would be a great help to the tag
I
division.
feel like they're in their prime. I don't feel like they're old. So, anyways, I hope they
Gotta get Gibson back on those promos.
agree.
Let him grow his beard out first, though. I don't like him without a beard.
Yeah,
It's
let
weird.
him go back to what they were doing before and do it in a fresh spot with fresh
Let him
matchups.
do the Doomsday Device suicide dive.
Right. My next one is that Bryan Danielson, did you hear this? Clarifies his in-ring future, and I don't like it personally.
I'm pretty sure I know what you're saying.
He cut a promo on Saturday's show. What would that be? Collision. He promised his 6-year-old daughter he would start finishing up his career when she turns 7 next May. And he told Sports Illustrated that this potentially means closing up shop next summer. However, he also doesn't really believe he'll ever truly retire for good. Expanded on what his
Even though he did.
His in-ring future could look like, including the possibility of going years between matches, but never like fully retiring. So obviously, selfishly, he's like, I think the best wrestler in the world possibly right now. So I'd hate to see him go, but I have no issue with the guy getting out while he's relatively healthy to spend time with young kids.
Yeah,
So
I respect
good
that.
for him.
And then even like coming back for the odd time while he's still able, I think that's a smart move too. Because like I feel like to say that he's gonna retire and then be like, oh, like I like that he's admitting he might come back, right?
Because he doesn't want to be one of the million of those wrestlers who retires and then just comes back.
I respect it. Like,
times.
and then I feel like he's the kind of guy who he'll know when to legitimately retire.
For sure.
Because I respect that. Because Shawn Michaels tried to do that, and for a while I respected that because he did. To his credits, he stayed retired, but the Saudi money got him, right? So,
and so we need to cherish these matches like he just had with Starks that he's probably about to have with Sabre. And because we're not going to get a lot of them, and he's the best.
I hope then before he's done, we get one more with Omega because they never had.
Right.
They ended it with a draw, and they never went back to that, I think.
They should, for sure.
We need, I think, one more with that. Personally, I want Danielson Ospreay then.
Yes.
That would be nice maybe for Forbidden Door next year.
Get some dream matches out of the way before he's a part-timer.
Got to get a few good ones out before you.
And then, honestly, he should transition if he wants to. Depends if he's just trying to, if it's mostly about physical health, transition into backstage doing something.
Because clearly Tony Khan trusts him.
Or
right?
training or booking or whatever it is, right? So keep him involved would be my
Clearly he's
suggestion.
like great and reliable backstage, and clearly Tony Khan has a lot of trust in him.
He does.
So
because he said that like something about he would turn Collision over to Danielson. He would be willing, not that he's going to.
Yeah, or
but
like
I think
he also
that's
told
the type of guy he is.
He also told his dad that like if something ever happened to him, he should turn to Danielson, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting. I did see something like that.
Yep.
And I guess we'll see.
Yep.
So I thought this one was kind of weird. It just kind of came in over, so I just
I like it. I like weird.
Jackson Riker is now a police officer in North Carolina.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Everyone should feel real safe that guy's keeping the peace for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he
North Carolina Sheriff's Office.
He's a bit of a not pleasant fellow, if I remember correctly. What he was released for and stuff, right?
Yeah.
That is a weird one. What do I have next? We have WWE, even though they're not making the huge cuts to their roster that they had pandemic time and maybe before,
No,
but
it was pandemic. That was bananas at times.
So the Endeavor takeover's fully taken hold, right? So September 15th, so that's yesterday, I guess. We saw over 100 employees let go from the company, but not like actual in-ring performers. So it's the PW Insider reported insights and analytics team lost 17, whatever that does. Marketing, graphic design, live events also decimated was the wording they used. And the network and podcasting division saw cuts too. Notable one is Dana Warrior. See ya! Because I'm just not a fan of her. If you were married to the Warrior and you can say that you love that man and his views, then you're probably not someone I want to hang out with either. So goodbye to her.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else for you? I got a couple more.
Next one was after his return on SmackDown, which was random. The Rock revealed that there were Mania 39 plans locked in for him and Roman.
Yay.
They were doing it, but it was something like The Rock, like he said something like, we can have the match, but the bigger thought was, what can we do for the fans of this business that we love, where WrestleMania isn't the end of something, it's actually the beginning of something bigger. They want to the wording's really weird here, and I'm kind of confused.
Go ahead.
I guess
I love words.
They want to like make it bigger or something, like he wants to give something unprecedented. I don't really understand what it means, so they couldn't lock it down, so it might be potential for a future Mania.
Just like a big enough story or a big enough angle,
I guess,
probably,
but,
or something.
Dumb.
I don't know.
Maybe that's why Cody lost, because if it was Rock, I can't imagine he was supposed to win.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Roman was always supposed to retain there, and so since it couldn't be The Rock, it had to be Cody.
And
he had to lose there.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know. It's weird.
It is weird.
I don't know. That's something, I guess. I don't really care about The Rock.
Apparently, this past Monday's Raw, there were changes prior to the show made by Vince. I've heard he's back more than he has been. Heavily involved in WWE's day-to-day again, with now that he is the executive chairman of the TKO group that runs WWE now as part of the Endeavor merger, takeover, whatever it is, right? So apparently changed things, including a match between Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, and the Viking Raiders being moved to main event. And Cody Rhodes was supposed to open the show, but I guess he changed that to Jey Uso. So, I don't know. It's just the only thing that's newsworthy to me is I get nervous anytime I hear that he's back having influence and getting involved and paying attention.
Yep.
It's usually a sign I'm not going to enjoy what's happening if you move away from Triple H towards Vince.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Reports AEW is expected to expand to 12 pay-per-views a year and airing on Max next year. Andrew Zarin he said on Twitter, I feel confident to say that AEW will be on Max in 2024, and AEW will expand its pay-per-view schedule to 12 a year.
Which, I'm sorry, AEW, I don't know if I'll be paying for all 12.
That's what I was thinking. I'm hoping that if they're on Max, that
I don't even know what Max is.
HBO.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, HBO Max.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm hoping that means like you could get the pay-per-views on there.
Yeah.
Or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking too. I think the math would be like, it's what?
They're like 50-ish,
50
so $600 a year.
Oh, that's what my math was off then.
Right? 5 times 12 is 60. Add a 0 on there. Right?
That's
so
bananas, yeah. So I'm hoping it's on there, because then obviously it's not great to have another subscription, but if we could just get Max, then we get like all the AEW stuff and the pay-per-views.
We're talking
that's not sounding.
We're talking about ditching Netflix in this house.
Really?
Because what do we use it for?
Office
is on Crave. Superstore's not. But anyways.
I don't know. I would ditch Prime or something. Do we have Prime? Oh wait, that's not even ours.
I don't have Prime, no.
No, that's almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
My last story of the week is Sunny Kiss says that she was shocked to learn her AEW contract was not renewed. And I'm only mentioning that she was on Busted Open Radio. And basically they started talking about Sunny Kiss's future, and then Tommy Dreamer, who works backstage obviously and on, unfortunately for me, in front of camera as well for Impact Wrestling, suggested Kiss text him after the show. And I think she'd actually be a good addition for Impact. Like, I kind of thought...
He or she? I saw something.
This is how it's been reporting, I think.
Right.
So that she's, I think, pretty interesting and a good fit for Impact, just in terms of, like, status level and stuff. I always feel there's certain people that fit at Impact, like Macklin. I don't think Macklin's really a draw or super successful anywhere else, but I feel like he's a really good fit for Impact, and Sunny could be as well. So we'll see what happens. Well, that was it for me. I don't know. Do you have anything else?
Me as well.
All right. So let's move into our next segment, our deep dive into this Wednesday's episode of AEW Dynamite. All right, sir. Tell me about Dynamite that we watched together.
Start with the number 3 ranked Jonathan Moxley
That's right.
against the probably not number 3 ranked Large William
That
Morrissey.
takes me back to when they were actually ranked in AEW. When you said number 3 ranked, I'm like, what, are the rankings back? But now I know we just talked about PWI. I get
I don't
it.
think Mox will qualify her rankings, obviously, because
No.
title.
Yes.
Big Bill would probably be like...
Large William and Mox for sure.
Bill would probably be like, I don't know, probably number 5 ranked.
Right.
Based on this.
Right.
But yeah, so interesting match choice.
Sorry
Moxley
to interrupt you. My first note, and remember in the moment, I was really confused because commentary are talking about Big Bill and hyping Big Bill, and then the music hits and it's Starks' music, and I had completely forgotten that he's Starks' heavy, which I actually kind of think is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like it, but I had just totally forgotten.
Yeah.
But anyways, now I understand.
Yeah, and it's a little weird because Big Bill's heel, but I think Moxley, because they're in Cincinnati this week, so they're baby facing him. But then now with Danielson coming up a feud, I'll talk about it later, but with Danielson feuding with Starks,
it is unclear where
Blackpool lies, especially because Claudio's still feuding with Eddie, so he's not
clearly
quite
a heel
because
Eddie's a face.
It's really weird. Blackpool's kind of in this nebulous right now. There's a series of layers from Mox doesn't take to Morrissey. Later on, Morrissey booted him off the apron. Post-commercial break, Mox connected with the superplex. It was a nice black hole slam from Morrissey for 2. King Kong Lantern from Mox. Mox came down with the hammer and anvil elbows. Then he went for a sleeper. Morrissey got up, got on his feet and rammed him into the corner. It was a nice cutter from Mox. Morrissey hit a choke slam for 2. He tried to choke him, but he got caught in a triangle, and Mox submitted him for the win. Starks and Morrissey beat down Mox, and then they beat down Mox and Danielson, and Claudio made the save. So, again, it's weird.
It is weird. And it made me laugh because Starks, as they clear out the ring, you can say he's mad because they broke his pearl necklace. He was like, "You broke my pearl necklace" or something, which I thought was funny. And I just, I don't think Big Bill is awesome, but is there anything Mox can't do at this point? I've watched him a lot in Impact, right? And I don't remember him having a non-gimmick match this good. There were some of the Extreme Rules or whatever that I thought were pretty good he was in. But other than tag team and gimmick matches, but I got pretty into this match. I thought it was a strong opener, really good showing for Bill. And I do like him as the heater for Starks in this case. And Mox sort of carrying on Orange Cassidy's tradition, right, of having really good matches to start shows, probably very frequently.
Yeah.
Because it looks like he's coming right back to face Phoenix next week, right? So I like this. A good Big Bill match, and that's probably a lot to do with Moxley.
Yeah, I like it. It's not the same, though. I don't know.
What do you mean? Oh, as Cassidy. You're still annoyed by that.
Well, because, I don't know, like you said, there's always the running storyline, and it felt like it was a running open challenge with kind of a purpose, too. I don't know. It's just, I feel like that was something special.
It was.
Still recent. It was a pretty good opener, though, I thought. Thought Morse looked pretty solid. One of his better outings for sure. I was a little confused now, though. But I'm wondering if Blackpool are babyface, because it's weird. I knew it was different because they're in Mox's hometown, but Danielson's still feuding with Stark, so he's still a face. But now Blackpool seems like they're kind of joining in on that. So are they a face? I'm fine with it because I love Blackpool either way. I think they're a really cool faction just in general, but I'd prefer if they stay heel because I really, really enjoyed heel Blackpool this year because I thought that was something really cool that they did this year was them just being the locker room bullies and just
loved it,
beating down everybody and just bullying the elite into reforming. I thought that was really awesome. So I would love for them to keep doing that, but I'm honestly kind of unsure right now. It's kind of weird. Back to the match though, I thought it was about as good of a match as you can get from Big Bill. Some solid stuff in there. I thought Moxley looked pretty good as well. Finish worked well, and it's nice to see Starks around again as well. I hope he's once he starts wrestling more.
Yeah.
Again, whenever that suspension thingy is done, I hope that he wrestles on Dynamite.
And I just want him to stay cocky heel with Big Bill to back him up. That's my goal. What's your booster juice order?
Oh,
this is professional podcasting.
If they have watermelon explosion still, I'd like that.
Okay. If not,
then I will.
This is behind the scenes, people.
I guess I'll go Funky Monkey because if I'm there, I could see the menu more. And just for quickness, we'll
carry on. Order.
I
is
would
being
rather
ordered.
fruity one though.
Well, there's the other watermelon one.
There's a pineapple something.
Pineapple freeze, pineapple chill, something like that.
Wait. Can you see them?
No.
Okay, I was like, shoot. It might have been Pineapple Chill. I
I'll
don't
have
know.
to decide if I edit this out. This is a lengthy conversation
like-
about booster juice.
Okay, if there's not a watermelon one, I want to know if there's like a pineapple one.
Any watermelon one?
No, the watermelon explosion.
Oh.
And then my backup would be Funky Monkey or a pineapple one. Because there's something that I like. I just forget what it's called. I feel like it's Pineapple Chill or Pineapple Freeze.
I do too.
Or like something with a mango. I don't know. I need to like
this is all
relook at the
useless
menu.
information that I have
Honestly,
to tell your mom what you want.
I need to look at the app sometime.
No, well,
not now, but like.
So you carry on and I'll.
I'm gonna download the app.
Super, but talk about wrestling because that's why people are here.
You interrupted me, sir.
I know I didn't expect it to be a 3-minute divergent.
Is it booster
conversation.
rewards? I'm gonna go with that. I can't order online though without a credit card.
Okay, wrestling, talk about it.
Do I need a credit card?
Yes.
So then I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't either.
Next we got Roddy with the Kingdom. Cole interrupts him and asks Roddy to listen to him. He thinks it's a horrible idea after what happened with Joe last time. Roddy says now Cole cares about his neck health and Kingdom believe in him while Cole only believes in MJF. He says he's going to beat Joe and then MJF and win the title because he's a wrestling legend.
Indeed. I laugh at neck health every time, and seeing him in the neck brace, I'm still not tired of it, and I'm enjoying this story, which is kind of cool for Roddy Strong, so I wasn't expecting him to be super involved in much, to be honest, and I'm looking forward at this point to the Roddy Joe match. Just a quick segment to further the angle, but I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was another solid promo from Roddy. I think he's pretty amusing. They've done a solid job building him to win this, but I feel like Joe's gonna take my dream from me.
Yes, I think so too.
Next week, Callis and Takeshita revealing their next target. Callis talks about Takeshita beating Omega twice, and in Japan they call the top guy the ace, and so now he's not just the ace, he's the alpha, and then we get like a little graphic for that. He says that we should refer to Takeshita as the alpha from now on, and I will do that.
Pineapple freeze.
I feel like I've had that before.
Pineapple, banana, strawberry, vanilla yogurt. You want it?
I'll do that. Is that no watermelon?
Yeah.
Okay,
if there's no watermelon.
If there's no watermelon, I'll do that as my backup. Yeah, sure.
Got it.
Okay. Sorry. Cal said that being Omega twice isn't enough. And they broke his body. Now they want to break his heart. He said Takeshi's next target is former IWGP World Champion and Heart of Omega, Kota Ibushi. Then they unveil a painting with Takeshita holding a sword over Ibushi, which is pretty cool. Cal says they're going to butcher him, skin him, and burn him. Which
aggressive. Seems
like pretty horrible match. But they could do my pork rind match.
They could.
Or an Inferno match.
Yes, they could.
Something like that. Or eye for an eye if you want. Butcher him. I feel like is that...
I can't do that.
I feel like you could do like...
Pay-per-view, you can
butcher him. Here's what I'm thinking for the butcher thing. Here's what we're thinking. So you know how there's a ladder match and then you do a reverse ladder match, which is King of the Mountain. So I'm thinking you do a reverse pole match where there's a giant hook on the pole and you call it a meat hook match. And you have to butcher him and hang him on a meat hook. Yes.
I used to have to do that with when I was working in a grocery store at your age, like you are. I was in the meat room and I had to put like whole sides of beef on those hooks. Heavy, those things are.
Tell it to Kurhan.
This segment, I think Takesha just looks cool to me at this point. Although we were distracted because one of the streamers got stuck on his ponytail at the back for a little while. It's hard to look like intimidating heel with like a bright paper streamer hanging from your hair. But anyways, I really like this because the idea of like he said, we've broken your body, but that he's still obsessed with Omega and just having his guy.
I kind of like that to a degree. I was like,
I like it a lot.
I kind of thought they might move on, but I kind of think it's funny that Cal is just like, no, we're staying on it.
A way to move on without moving on, because now like you're moving on to a new opponent.
And then I feel like it might come back to Takeshita losing to Omega, maybe, which is not great, but like it's kind of okay.
So you're moving on to Ibushi, but with the goal of still tormenting Omega by beating Ibushi. So, I really like that. I still think for the average person, they maybe need to explain the connection between Omega and Ibushi a little better.
Probably.
They're assuming everybody's up on it.
Although I feel like it's less like the Kingdom thing, where I think the Kingdom, that's more. You need to explain. I feel like this one, I feel like I would hope most people know, but I definitely agree with you.
And I honestly think Takeshita should win this, because if you're committed to building a star, if he defeats both of the Golden Lovers back to back, and they can get their revenge later, fine. Once Takeshita's built, but to
say like it'd be kind of like Ospreay. I was like in the span of a few months he's beaten Okada, Jericho, Omega.
Right.
I feel like to say in like I think it'd be a month span, right? Like we'll say like in like a month span or 2 month span, whatever, 1 or 2 month span, right?
Mm-hmm.
A short span is the point. We'll say a month. just to go easy. A month
Yeah.
span, he's beaten Omega and Ibushi. That'd be crazy, especially with how little Ibushi's been active this year. That'd be crazy for him to take a loss to Takeshita. I'm really hoping not, but like.
And Ibushi can be like, he's got still a bit of ring rust. He's not peak form Ibushi, which I think we can all agree he's not.
At least, like, if he is, they haven't shown it yet, obviously, right? Like,
so then he can be sort of built back into that. If he's signed there, like, I don't even know, right, what his status is. So
yeah, because, like, I don't remember if we saw the signing graphic or not. I don't think so.
Like,
I don't think so, but, like, they keep bringing him back, so.
I know.
I saw people, like, editing that because people love to do that, but I don't know if that's, like, that happened or not.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, like, half sure, kind of, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could see it, but I don't know. Yeah, so I thought this was enjoyable. I always love Callis. I found it amusing that he just found out about people calling them the Ace, and he's been involved with Japan a bunch of times,
right?
Like,
and his
with
entire
Omega
life in wrestling, and he just learned that it was kind of funny.
That was funny. The Alpha thing's cool for Takeshita. I like that it's like different. I like the direction they took him in here. Like, I think Ibushi's a perfect choice for his next opponent. Not like a Japanese wrestling as well, but I also like how Callis like isn't satisfied with beating and breaking Omega. He wants to torment him more. We get a fresh match now, and hopefully Takeshita versus Ibushi is amazing. Hopefully, like, he kind of busts out Prime Ibushi a bit, or Takeshita can help him bring that out.
Yes.
I feel like it has to be for a Wrestle Dream, I would assume, which is awesome. The painting was once again really cool. I think her name's Mel Coleman.
They're pretty cool.
I follow her now because I found her.
Especially because she must be churning them out pretty quickly.
I found her off of the Callis Takeshita graphic that I love.
Yeah. They should sell
her
prints
stuff's
of them.
really cool. I think that would be really cool. I would definitely buy the Centaur one.
Yeah,
that one's awesome. But I think she does great work. I love this one. The Centaur one's awesome. The one with Jericho was pretty good. The one with Bad News Allen, and then obviously the one that caused the Ospreay match.
Yeah.
But I think her work's really awesome. I don't know how she does that, but it's pretty sweet. Really nice bit, though. Looking forward to this match a lot. If AEW are bold and serious about pushing Takeshita, like you said, I say screw it. Have him beat Ibushi.
Yep.
Just push him to the moon. This is his year. This is the year to start establishing him. Then next year, you start putting him to the top. Or, like, not tippity top, but, start putting him there.
Only known in North America as yours. He's not from anywhere else as far as people are concerned.
Japan, he's whatever. But, like, here, this is his exposure.
Yep.
So they can kind of tout him as a homegrown guy, right? To a degree, right?
Yep.
But I'm super pumped for this.
Me too.
Looks like things are on the up and up for Takeshita, which is what we like to see.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we get an interview with Blackpool backstage. Danielson says they're all about escalating, and he challenges Starks and Bill to a tag match against him and Claudio on Collision, which I think we're getting tonight. Marvez talks about Mox and Claudio having title matches next week, and Mox says it's just a day off to them. Phoenix comes in with Penta and Eddie, with him shouting at Mox about how he's going to take the title. Wrestling security keep Lucha Bros away from Blackpool, and then meanwhile, I love Eddie is surprisingly silent, staring at Claudio, and then he laughs maniacally and says, "One more week," which I thought was really funny. So again, I think it's weird because I thought Mox was kind of heel here. Like, his line seems heely, and then he's got like the fired up baby face looking for revenge against him, right? So I feel like Danielson and Mox are both good, but Danielson seemed babyface, Mox seemed heel. Then Claudio's still heel feuding with Eddie. So like maybe Blackpool are this weird tweener faction right now, which usually I think would be kind of dumb or weird. But I think Blackpool, I've always thought they're just kind of this different kind of group with the way their dynamics work, just the way they're formed. The whole concept of their group is different intrinsically from other factions.
Yeah.
So I feel like them having heels and faces there, like these murky alignments, works for them and them only. Because I feel like most factions, they have to be all on the same page because that's how they work. But this faction's
doesn't
different.
have to be.
They're
even different in terms of they regularly like beat on one of their members and he's still a member, right? Yeah. There's that, and I think so too. And I'm not.
Which is kind of like what Walter did to Imperium sometimes, but like I feel like they do it better.
And I think the guys at Poison Rana were talking about it. It's kind of what Dempsey and Gulak are doing to
on like a lower level, to Miles Bourne,
right? So yes, I think Blackpool could be the faction.
It's really weird, but like it could work.
We all train together and are part of this club, but that doesn't mean that we're all heels or all faces.
And sometimes they are, right? Like obviously this year we had them all as heels, and obviously I love that better. But I feel like this is a group where having this weird dynamic where I'm not entirely sure what they are is not an issue, especially because I inherently like them all.
And it's interesting.
So
and
it is
it's
interesting.
even
yeah.
like you don't even know who's really in charge of that faction, other than it's not Yuta,
I would say
right?
I would think
Me
Moxley,
too,
but also
but
Danielson speaks a lot, so it
right.
could be them. I feel like
And Claudio's technically a champion of a company.
I
I'm
would
using
say
air quotes here.
it's probably in between Mox and Danielson, but I also really loved Eddie here. I
Me
loved how
too.
like he was surprisingly calm, and then just his laugh made me laugh.
And I
here.
like that the whole thing was kind of a backdrop for them. And I think because Eddie is always talking and running his mouth, the fact that he's not here indicates how like personal and upset this is. That's helping me. Because remember before I was like, I don't really get it. But now they've been doing it long enough in AEW that it does feel like the hatred's starting to come through. And the fact that he's so mad he's not even talking when all he does is talk, right?
His evil laugh at the end, it's just like one of those contagious
I thought
things.
Phoenix getting in Blackpool's face seemed a bit out of character for him. But
I mean, they did kayfabe injure him and take him out of All In.
That's true.
So
And it
I
did
guess
create
that.
the backdrop for Claudio and Eddie there, so I liked it. And I loved that little detail of Moxley because this is after his opening match, so he's like
dead,
unsteady on his feet, like looking woozy from the blood he's lost, right? So good detail. Mox always
probably not the first time though.
Mox is always working, man.
Yeah,
I like it.
Never rests. I don't know if he ever took that break he was supposed to get.
Supposed to.
I think he got robbed last year, and I don't.
And that was the
heard
Punk follow, right?
Yeah. I haven't heard any complaints. So what a guy.
He's not gonna complain publicly. That's not his style. If he'll do it right, I'm sure. If he has problems, it'll be privately expressed to the people involved and not somebody who's gonna do it publicly.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of All In, I've seen a lot of Santana Ortiz issues going around, and people think it's a storyline, but
I think
I've heard it's not.
Them insisting it's Mike Santana feels like him being like, I need to go singles and I need to not be Santana and Ortiz anymore. I need to inch away from that.
Concerned with
package.
that. I still don't understand how this has all happened. Like, what was?
What the catalyst? I don't
understand what the catalyst for that was, because wasn't it like
I did at the time
on something, but I don't know how it's descended into this now, where they're like, it kind of makes me sad because I love that team so much, and selfishly I want them to team again, but I honestly don't really, and they've been like absent since All In.
Right.
At least they worked that, but they didn't even enter together. They just came out with Blackpool. Like, it's not like they had their own entrance or anything. Like, I don't know. It's a really weird thing. Just Phoenix ain't taken out of that made me think, because then I was like, oh yeah, then Proud and Powerful came back, which was interesting. Like, I don't know. It's really weird. And
I'm trying to find it here. If I find it while you're talking,
trying to figure out like what. I think there's definitely still issues there, but it's honestly so hard to tell what's going on. I don't know. Anyways, next we get a quick Hook interview. Before he speaks, Cassidy comes in. He says he's just walking around. He says he saw Hook mad about something. He asks what Hook has to be mad about, because he can wrestle. He doesn't have tape on his body, and he has a championship. And Cassidy says he used to have one, which I like that. It's about as mad as he's gotten.
Right.
When he's still laid back. Hook says he was a great champion. Cassidy says Hook is too. They like fist bump or whatever. Hook leaves, and Renee asks if Cassie's okay. He says he's still just so tired. So this is solid. Nice way to keep Hook speaking to a minimum again. It's definitely weird seeing Cassidy on the down low after his title run has gone down, but hopefully they make use of him sometime. I doubt it would happen, but I would so be okay with them like having a redemption arc, building him back to getting the title back.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, because...
So does he lose to Hook, and that's like rock bottom or something?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I feel like they could build him back to getting the title again, and I think you maybe give him, like, a mini version of the run we already had. Because I love Mox and all, but I really think they should build Cassidy to elevate someone else, because Mox didn't need it. Right? I just missed that run a lot. Mox is great. He had a good match this week. Cassidy, I feel like it's just different.
Yeah, Hook's hair was crazy in this, too, right? It's
messy as hell.
But yeah, I'm just hoping they're not de-pushing Orange Cassidy to Hook's level. No offense to Hook, but
he's not
on that level, right? So I do like that they got Cassidy on TV and that he's clearly, his character's not a little bit different, like the laid-back, carefree guy. He does care a little bit about that run and that title.
He's not over it.
Right, so
which I like.
I like that.
I'm not over it.
And you're definitely not over it. And we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, for sure. Next we get our women's match of the week, which is Toni Storm, Hikaru Shida, Nyla Rose, and Britt Baker in a 4-way eliminator to determine who will face Saraya for the AEW Women's World Championship at Grand Slam next week, which almost marks a year of Saraya.
Hooray.
Yeah, hooray. Lol.
Haraya.
Soraya. A couple notables from here. Shida hitting Diamond Crossbody to the pile of people. Baker to super kick to Rose, and Storm hit a German suplex to Baker, then a hip attack in the corner to Rose before taking a suplex from Shida. So that was decent. There was a beast bomb to Storm for 2. Curb stomp to Shida from Baker, and then Storm rolls her up from behind for the win.
Curb stomp to Shida looked awful. Shida, I think mostly Shida's fault. She set up and started early. I don't know.
I thought it was weird.
Weak.
Toni Storm still came with the Outcast theme in the entrance, but then she's doing this new character, and she's like, I still don't know how to feel about this character,
Same.
but I'm not. I don't want to say I'm not liking it yet, but I'm not.
They're not. I don't find they're advancing it at all. It's still in the same spot.
So I'm not. Okay, so the best way I can wear this, it's really weird, but I'm not disliking it. I'm not actively disliking it, but
I think
I'm for sure not leaning towards liking it.
No.
I feel like if they don't flesh this out soon and they don't evolve it, it's gonna become a Cargill kind of thing really quick.
Correct.
For me.
That is very fair.
I think this has potential, but I feel like if they don't actually try with this really quick, I'm not going to care.
Yes.
And didn't she say she was going to give us a look into her life this week?
No look.
Where?
Right. And that's
Nothing.
the kind of thing I need. So if you're just
that would have been
presenting her
helpful.
like this,
that might have changed my opinion.
And she's like a film noir, whatever. But
this just felt like Toni Storm randomly just started having what's the identity disorder or whatever, something like that. You know what I mean? It's just she's just randomly different.
You could have some entertaining vignettes where she's out in the real world behaving like a movie star, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's totally something that could work. Hire us.
But right now we
team.
have no idea what she actually is. I don't even think
or
they've
why
pinned down,
she's
or any why.
I mean, I guess losing the title, but she was still normal for a bit. I don't know. It's just even though I kind of get a reasoning there, it's still random because it was it just happened.
Yep, I agree.
I don't know.
And I think
it was kind of weird in this match, I thought.
Something was off in this match for me.
For
I
sure,
thought there were some decent stretches.
And on paper, this is a good set of talent, right?
Yes.
Nyla Rose is not the most prominent, but I think when it comes down to it, she's a good
she had some
hoss for the division,
exactly,
right?
some good power spots here.
And she's had some solid matches as well. Baker, obviously, we love, generally speaking. Shida, we love, generally speaking. And
Storm, no problem.
Storm, I like a lot more than I did anywhere else.
But this was
it just didn't work for me much.
And again,
it was okay.
7 minutes, commercial break in there.
Yeah, the best thing I can say is it was good when it got going. Because I think, there were some solid things in here, but it was far too short. There's 4 women of decent star power for this division.
We should love
right?
this.
These are probably 4 of the biggest women in the division, right?
Give them 12 to 15, and we love it.
Exactly.
And we did. And we get 7, and it's fine.
Yeah, there's always something off of the women's matches, I find. It's not in a sexist way or anything like that.
No, not at all.
It's just how it works. I just find they're just never as clean as the men's matches, and it just doesn't help that they're not given the time required to put something good together. Maybe it's just lack of experience in some capacity, or just the lack of time. They don't have time to construct a competent match all around.
We have a history of loving women's divisions. We loved NXT women. I loved at some points the Knockouts division was fantastic.
Yeah, and there's some actually good star power in this. I said, for their division, relative to the division, obviously. So I think they deserve some time here. It's not like they gave us a random 4 with Mercedes Martinez and Sky Blue like they did that one time on Rampage or whatever. This was fine, but I feel like it could have actually been good if it didn't end so abruptly and had more time to work with. I feel like you could have shuffled something around it, or at least do this and make the match maybe a little better if you want to keep it the same time, and give Storm her segment, because Storm just she did some weird poses here and I don't know. There's some disconnect with that gimmick for me.
My notes say someone important really must love Toni Storm. She gets 3 or 4 different characters before some women in AEW get 1.
This is probably her third thing or fourth thing, depending, because she was a babyface, and there's Thunderstorm for a bit,
and then
there's Outcast, then there's
every time you see the champion Statlander, you go, "What's her gimmick?"
I'm gonna keep saying that until it happens.
And she's a champion.
Her thing that says more than a woman, that's not a gimmick. That's a catchphrase at most.
So bottom line, I don't think, and I think what you were saying it already, is that this did not showcase the talent that these women have.
No, not
There's
at
a
all.
better way to do this.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to sum it up. And then next week, Storm Saraya.
I know.
Yay?
Right.
I don't... It's kind of
Then that faction still dominating that division.
They're taking out the women's match next week. Literally.
So
it's kind of what I'll say about Jericho and Guevara later. It's a match between the former faction mates that I don't care about, because I don't care about this group. And I think it's different because with Jericho and Guevara, the issue you were saying, and I agree, I share the sentiment that their face heel dynamics have been wishy-washy in late. But this, I feel like it's kind of... Actually, it might be kind of similar because they're all heels, but now Storm's distancing herself from them, but she's still kind of heel,
Yeah.
but she's different. So, like, and then now Saraya seems like kind of she's a face now, but which is random because it's like... It reminded me of your complaint with Gigi Dolan. It's like, why does she get to be a baby face because Storm accidentally hit her mom and like...
But for
it
the last
doesn't-
3 years, she's been a heel and
Exactly.
shown nothing
Yeah,
else. And,
like-
yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me, and just the match has no heat for me. I don't
Yeah.
care about the dissension in this group. I don't really care about Storm's whatever she's doing because they're not doing a good job of making me interested in it. Because pretty soon I'm gonna just start not liking it just because they're not giving me a reason to like it, right? So, and then Saraya is actually coming up, so I guess we can just continue talking about this.
Yes.
We get to see her with Soho, and I don't like hair dye. I think hair dye's dumb, but Soho looks weird without hair dye, so that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. I don't really notice.
Usually I don't like it, but it
Being
just,
color
it just
deficient, not
looks, just
something I
looks
notice.
weird if I'm being honest. But Saraya congratulates Storm on her win. She's proud of her. I hate when she calls people. She's like, "Congrats, baby girl," or something like that. I hate it. It sounds dumb. It's like, you know how you don't like the tongue out?
Yeah.
I don't like that. It's weird. I don't like it. She says when she debuted last year, yep, it's been a year almost.
Mm-hmm.
She was the new girl and Tony was champ, but now Storm has lost everything to her and she's the big star now, and now Storm is crazy. She says after next week, Tony will be left with nothing. So the first thing I noticed as she was talking was, so now that Saraya is the apparent babyface, and yeah, I'm using air quotes, in this feud, she's back to giving heel promos as a babyface,
Right.
much like the Baker feud all over again, like we had last year. This
I have
was
the
our
same notes,
our
buddy.
prime complaint last year, and it's coming back, I think. I don't think a proper babyface would speak like this. She's bragging about taking a title that was Storm's and taking her friend, and she's also going to leave Storm with nothing. It's not a good babyface promo at all.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mother.
No talking? You don't want to make your debut on the podcast right now?
No?
Hi, everybody.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if that picked up or not. I'll find that sec and turn it way up. Don't
Thank
worry.
you. And I don't know what she's done to deserve being a babyface again, like you said, aside being from her hometown in one show.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't register for
And
me. So many things.
That leads me to something else I've been thinking.
We got the watermelon.
Is that the way she's being treated in AEW reminds me of WWE, because I feel like they are determined to get their return on investment and they overestimated her draw and they are sort of jamming her down our throats, right? Like, no, we were sure she's a big deal and we spent a lot of money to get her, so we're going to get some value out of her, and we don't really care what you think, because I don't think she's well received. And I know they can go, well, she's a heel, you're not supposed to, but I don't think people care much. I don't hear... Because once we're done recording, I listen to a lot of stuff and read a lot of stuff, and it feels like nobody's like super impressed with her. So it's just reminding me of WWE a bit, which is always scary.
Yeah, it always is, yeah. And with like her kind of being babyface now or whatever it is, makes me care about this less, because it's just like the dynamics are so weird. And again, if she is the babyface, why would I root for her? She's been a heel for the past few months. Yep. She doesn't sound like a babyface.
She won a match in front of her home crowd. Now she's a face.
And
Boom.
This is not a babyface promo. This is the exact same thing that happened. Now Tony Storm's going to cut a babyface promo next week before the match, and it's going to be the whole thing all over again. Like, it does not work. And, you know, it's funny. I compared this to Jericho and Guevara. Guess what's next?
Right.
Jericho and Guevara.
There it is.
When I was looking at the TJR review, he pointed out they should be latex gods because it's plural.
Correct. Good Canadian boy pointing that out.
Good for him. So Jericho talked about how the first time in 4 years they'll have a match against each other next week. Great. He said they have been the best of friends in AEW for 4 years, I guess.
Yep.
If that's what that is. A video package aired about all the great moments between them and also showed some of the problems they've had. Jericho talked about in 2018 he was watching NWA pay-per-view. It's the 70th anniversary or something like that. I don't know. It was something.
I don't remember.
I don't care. And Guevara was on the pre-show. He said he saw him on there when he called Tony Khan saying they need to sign this guy, and he said this was in 2018. So that math doesn't check out.
It doesn't? I don't know.
'Cause
You're the math guy.
AEW started in 2019, and even if you want to say, oh, they were talking about it, then that would have to be late 2018 because All In was September 2018, so
Right.
it'd have to be after that for there to even be talk of AEW. And that being said, I don't know when Jericho was talked about being brought on board, so I don't know. I feel like the timeline's a little wishy-washy. Maybe he got the year wrong, because if it was like 2018, then maybe, yeah, but I don't know. Because Guevara was on the pre-show of the first Double or Nothing, because I remember him and Kip Sabian were the first match.
And we were like, we watched him. We saw Sammy.
With the panda head.
Yeah, with the panda head.
But, timeline's a little weird, I feel like. But yeah, he said he called Tony Khan saying he needed to sign this guy. He said he wanted Sammy with him to help him out as much as he could. He said over the years he's watched Sammy grow from boy to man. He's seen him get married and become a father to a baby girl. Wait, she's not born yet. He's not become a father.
And then he had to correct, because he said you're going to give birth to a baby girl, and then he had to correct it.
Yeah, I mentioned it, and then he corrected himself. I was like, yeah, I got you. Jericho said he's proud of Sammy and everything he's accomplished over the last 4 years, which is basically just winning the TNT title 3 times.
I think so.
So, yeah.
And being part of every faction Jericho's
which is 2, but it's like that Doofenshmirtz line from Phineas and Ferb. It's like, it was like, what, if I had 2 quarters for every time something's happened, I'd only have 2 quarters, which isn't a lot, but it's saying something that's happened twice or something like that.
Yeah.
Which, it's like he's been in every faction Jericho's had in AEW, which is only 2 times, so that's...
all of them.
It's still weird it's happened twice. But yeah, he said the typical wrestling thing is to talk trash Sammy did, but he's not going to do that because they're besties. He said that when he was a kid, he used to do code breakers in his mom's backyard. He thanked Jericho for changing his life. He said without Jericho, there's no AEW, so Jericho changed many people's lives. He said he didn't come to this company just to be Jericho's sidekicks. He wants to be world champion, to be looked at like Mox, Jansen, and Jericho. Just start bleeding, and that will come quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy knows that won't happen as long as he's in Jericho's shadow, so that's why he needs to beat Jericho next week. Jericho said that's true, and Sammy was he was brought here to be a main event player and to draw, or to be a money-making draw rather than his sidekick. He said if he wants to get to the next level, he has to do it on his own. He said next week Sammy has the opportunity to do that. He said he has to beat Jericho to get to the next level. Jericho said you have to be better than ever before if he wants a chance to beat him. He said he doesn't think Sammy's ready to beat him yet, and Sammy said that's why he needs to beat Jericho next week. He says it's always been whatever Jericho wants, and that's how it's been for years. He stared Jericho and said he's going to beat him, earns respect. They shook hands and they hugged, and they will go on to win some tag titles. Then they shook hands, and Jericho pulled him in for a nose-to-nose. Jericho told Sammy he's going to give him the match of his life and beat the hell out of him, and he's going to go harder on him than anybody in his life. And Sammy said, I wouldn't want it any other way, because they're both baby faces, I think, maybe.
And I'm going to sound like a broken record on this, and I apologize to people who listen every week, but each of these guys have done the sincere, insincere, heel, face, back and forth for so long, I just can't get invested in this anymore. And again, it still kind of feels like a second or third rate Cole, MJF, or Outcast, I guess, as you're saying thing. And it seems we go in peaks and valleys with Jericho, and right now for me, we're in one of those valleys where he could take a break from being in major storylines and on TV every single week,
how
all the
Danielson
time.
was saying that? I feel like Jericho kind of needs to learn from Danielson.
Right. Like, just, there are diminishing returns for me with Jericho, right? The more I see him, the less I get interested. So you need to sort of start...
And the less I think of him.
...treating him as an attraction kind of thing. I honestly think both of these guys did a really fine job in this segment, and I'm sure it's connecting with some people. It's just not working for me personally. So this is just kind of like, it gets a fair amount of time, and they're trying really hard. I just don't really care.
Yeah. I agree. I thought it was fine at best. Both of them spoke well per the usual, I guess, but and they did a good job trying to get me into this match, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't care, and I don't have an interest in it.
Because, like, all this lovely stuff they said, there's a real possibility they come out next week and say the exact opposite. You know what I mean? Like, they're always just kind of, you never know,
Yeah,
I just don't care anymore.
We've talked about already how wishy-washy their face heel alignments have been this year, and that combined with them both being faces creates a major lack of heat for me, and I just don't care. I was disappointed when Sammy said they'll still go for the tag titles after this, because I was kind of hoping that them having a match would cut off that partnership, and we wouldn't have to deal with that, but seemingly not.
Here we are.
So here's hoping they don't win the titles, because honestly, that will annoy the crap out of me. Because honestly, like, give Aussie Open the rub for MFTR.
Because again, we were like, let's ramp this tag team division back up, and I don't need them in it, frankly.
Mm-mm.
Like, because
get JYV in there, you know.
Because if they're in it, they're all over it, right? Yeah. And that's the problem. I get fatigue with Jericho.
Exactly. And then I thought it was kind of dumb though, because Sammy talked about not wanting to be Jericho's sidekick, and he wants to beat Jericho to distinguish himself and, stand on his own 2 feet. So then after he beats Jericho and stands on his own 2 feet, he's going to win tag titles with Jericho?
And we're going to stand on our 4 feet.
Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, he wants to be his own man, but he wants to win tag titles with Jericho.
Be his own man just for one match. And then right back to sidekicking.
I guess. Like...
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Hopefully the match next week's good. I'm just not investing in the story here. And beat Aussie Open for no reason, so that's minus points for me.
Correct.
Next, we got an MJF interview in the medical room, which is filmed from last week. The doctor dude says Max isn't cleared to travel next week, and it'll be okay for Grand Slam, and MJF celebrates a week off, which is kind of funny.
Because I feel like we're seeing signs of old heel MJF in this a little bit, right? Which I like. It's just shining through because it's part of him.
Yeah, and I feel like that's been like kind of a constant thing. Like he's always still him, but like it's toned down or he's kind of different.
Cole's helping him be a better person, but he's still a dirtbag.
He's
to
still
some
him.
degree.
Yeah. He says Roddy is faking his neck injury, and he says his is a little screwy, but after the turning, he'll rip Roddy's head off and shove it up his ass. He calls him a wet blanket and a third wheel, and tells him to shake it off again. MJF says he's not afraid of Samoa Joe, and Joe better pray he doesn't win the tournament because he would choke Joe out if Joe wrestles him. And then he does his own version of Steiner math, which was so confusing. But obviously that's the point. But he nailed it. Yeah.
He did.
If that was his first take, I would be amazed. Then Cole and MJF sign off with their tag catchphrase. I really like this. Solid stuff from MJF as always. He's always got such great disses for Roddy without fail. And then I like what he said to Joe as well. And I was hoping we'll get Roddy, but clearly we'll get Joe. And then the Steiner math was pretty funny.
And so the Steiner math came up on because it's the 1000th episode of Impact, so that was included in their highlight reel at the beginning of the show, I think it was. I'll talk about that show later. So yeah, I liked a couple things here. One, you've got MJF just can't go full babyface, right? You saw a little heel. I'm happy to not work and defend anything. I'm getting
not even appear on Dynamite.
I'm getting like really personal attacks on, and then you have Cole, who I think is doing a really good job of really subtly, like clearly he's not
fully okay with
with the personal attacks on Roddy, right? But he's just kind of there, and
because he's friends with both of them.
Yeah, so I kind of like this as well. It's just like, okay, there's a little bit of the real MJF coming shining through, and Cole's not super great with it. So I like that. Again, it's a slow burn, and if it's done well, slow burn's my favorite.
Yep, still don't know who's going to turn.
That's right.
Next we get Hangman Adam Page taking on Brian Cage in face paint.
Yep.
Still weird.
Yeah, interesting to see.
I don't like his tights either. I like the trunks.
I said that it looked like Page is significantly taller than Cage, and I bet you if I look at them listed, because remember they list Cage at 6 feet, and I have pictures standing with him. And I'm taller than him. And I'm 6'1", and I'm taller than Cage. So I thought it was interesting to see that Hangman looked taller.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be too surprised, I guess, given if you're taller than Cage.
Yeah.
Hangman low bridge Cage the apron, then connected with that springboard clothesline. Later on, Hangman hit a 619, which is really weird.
It was.
Just not.
I don't know where that came from.
Not a staple of his moveset whatsoever. Hangman looked for a buckshot, but Swerve's music hits, and he walked out. Nana starts dancing again. He's like, well, it's funny because he was already at ringside with Cage, actually, now that I remember. Then when Swerve's music hits, he just starts dancing at ringside. So, like, he's too good. It's so funny. And Swerve's standing on the ramp for the rest of the match. I thought it was funny because I think at the one angle I saw, like, a cameraman. They're just, like, keeping a camera on him the whole time. He's just standing, like, mean mugging the ring.
Yeah. With his grills in, which look awesome.
Cage hit a super kick off to a distracted Hangman, and then an outside in German suplex, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cage catches a diving Hangman, then curls him. When he goes for a slam, Hangman counters in a crucifix bomb.
That looked really good too.
Hangman hits the Orihara moonsault to the outside. Cage caught Hangman in a buckshot attempt. He looked for an F5, but Hangman countered an inside cradle too, which was really cool. And then he won with the Deadeye, which is very odd.
Yeah.
Then Hangman grabbed a mic, and Hangman like kind of mocked the passionate drive Swerve had while he brooded at the top of the ramp, watching him kick Cage's ass. He says for 1 second last week he thought Swerve had some balls, but after this week he thinks Swerve keeps him stored away in Nana's crown. Swerve says, "What up, turd?" and says, "Don't sound like fighting words." He said they'll do this on his time when he says so, and he chooses the state that birthed him, which is Seattle, which is where Wrestle Dream is. He said he's going to make sure Hangman doesn't get comfortable in the meantime, and then Cage jumps him from behind. Then Nana's dancing as Cage beats him down. Then the Bucks run in, double super kick Cage, and then they kind of mock him dancing, and when he turns around, they super kick him as well.
I thought this was a good match. Paige having to overcome the dominant power of Cage. Cage is like the perennial quality win for other people, right? And it's a valuable role. It's not a slight on him. Winning with the Deadeye is interesting. And is that because you just have to hit Cage with whatever you can? Is it a compliment to Cage? I don't know, right? Because it's kind of a secondary finisher. Because Cage was avoiding the buckshot a few times, right? So maybe that's the story
He did
there.
counter, yeah.
Yeah. The crowd enjoyed this. So did I. And Swerve is really over. Really looking forward to Paige and Swerve. I think it could be awesome, especially on a pay-per-view, because you're going to probably give them more time than you would on TV. And I liked Swerve just standing there with no real reaction while his guys got taken out. He didn't run down. He didn't run away. He just stayed there and didn't really affect them.
I kind of like that.
I thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot for a TV match. Really good as I expected. I think these two work really well together. So we've had a couple matches from them, obviously, before, back in the Daily's Place era. Love seeing Cage get to exhibit his insane power and agility. I feel like we got a bit of both here, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Hangman hitting a 6-9 was weird. Overall, just good stuff, though, between these two. It was weird, however, that Hangman went with the Deadeye. Like, it's not like he never does, but it's still always unusual, I feel
It was
like.
surprising for me to see,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Hangman's promo was solid. Swerve was really good, as always, too. I'm super pumped for that match. It's a little weird that it's in Swerve's hometown, because I feel like he'll get cheered a bit more.
Feels like a fresh matchup between two awesome people and a super strong heel and a super strong babyface.
I'm super pumped for that. And then if Ibushi Takeshita gets added, then if you have Swerve, Hangman, Ibushi Takeshita, Danielson, Sabre Jr.
That's awesome. I'd buy it on that.
Great trio. That's kind of like Forbidden Door, where
I already have my money.
Where it was Omega, Ospreay, Okada, Danielson.
Yep.
Sold.
Right.
So this one looks pretty good. Next, we get a Garcia interview. Garcia says he thought they would talk about him, but of course Renee is asking him about Guevara and Jericho. Callis interrupts and says he would love to hear more about Garcia, and says after being Jericho's friend for decades, he knows it's all about Jericho all the time. And he talks about constructing his family. Garcia puts a finger up to silence him and then just dances in his face and then walks away, which I thought was kind of fun.
I thought Garcia sounded pretty natural, and he doesn't always, so that's good. And then I kind of liked, as soon as Callis came in, I'm like, I like that idea. I would love Garcia to join.
I think we shared the sentiment. I was actually disappointed that Garcia shut him down like Sammy did, because I think it made sense for Sammy to not want it, because he's still friends with Jericho, and they're kind of like still, on good terms. But I was looking for Garcia to kind of join up with Callis, because he's a guy in the vein of Takeshita that's a young and on the rise that I would like to see pushed a bit and benefit from Callis's...
Benefit a mouthpiece and mentoring.
Exactly. But I think it'd be great, but I still want Garcia in Blackpool too, so I don't know.
His dancing, I think, made him a babyface though, right?
A little bit.
So he can't. But yeah, that idea down the road, we could circle back around to it. I like the idea of Callis with Garcia.
For sure. Next we have random matches. Darby Allin and Nick Wayne versus 2.0.
Right.
Hager and Anna Jay are coming out with them, so they're basically Jazz without Jericho, aka what I like to call ass.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote it as AS, but then in brackets you have a second S, so that spells ass.
To get the pronunciation right?
That would be the shirt, though, if you were to make an ass shirt.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, Hager and Anna Jay are still with 2.0, so sure.
I guess the point was just they don't want to deal with Jericho, but they're still, I don't know.
Crowd chanting for Daddy Magic early on, eh? And
yeah, that
made me laugh.
As the match is just beginning, Christian Cage's music hits, so they use that trope twice in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks out with Luchasaurus and he goes to commentary. Meanwhile, 2.0 take advantage of the distraction and beat down Nick Wayne. Jay distracts the ref and Hager pulls Darby down from the apron to take him out, preventing a hot tag. Eventually, though, Darby does get the hot tag of commercial break. Goes on flurry against 2.0. We got a code red to Parker for 2. Later on, Wayne hit the Wayne's World for 2 with Menard pulling him off the pin, though. And then the finish came when Darby hit a coffin drop to Parker in tandem with Wayne moonsaulting to the outside to take out Hager and Menard. So the babyfaces pick up the win. And then we get some words from Christian after. He tells Cincinnati to shut up while he conducts business, which I like that kind of being a line for him.
Mm-hmm.
He says he was scrolling through Nick's mom's Instagram account last week. He had a couple problems with that being she doesn't post enough bikini pics. And he sent her a request. And then all the talk of Darby and Sting's all-in win is pissing him off. He reminds us he didn't take the loss at all-in, burying my boy Swerve. And he says he didn't have his regular partner with him, so he challenges Darby and Sting to face him in Luchasaurus next week. Imagine that was a tease for Edge. I just thought of that.
Yep.
He doesn't have his regular partner with him. That'd be so horrible. But yeah, so Sting next week.
I thought the match was decent. Nothing special. I feel like Nick Wayne kind of needed a win at some point, right? So 2.0 don't ever get any, so you knew kind of what was going to happen here. I thought it was a bit of awkwardness near the end when Magic was pulling Parker out of the ring and Darby looked like he wanted to dive to the floor and then sort of had to audible.
Yeah, you showed me, right?
But yeah, I did. And I like Christian Cage's promo when he's super evil. Christian Cage is what we want, and like hitting on his mom and stuff is funny to me. So I enjoy him still right now.
It's definitely brutal sometimes, but it's really funny. Solid enhancement match is about what you'd expect. It just kind of came out of the blue for me. Mostly just to get Darby and Wayne on the show for Christian's promo. They look solid, though. Some nice offense, but not much of note. Christian was great, though. I love his comments about Nick's mom. It's really funny. Not that we have to see Sting wrestle again so soon. Can't say I'm overly interested, but hopefully everyone that isn't him can pull out a solid match.
Right.
Because Christian's solid, Darby's solid, and Luchasaurus is solid.
Right.
Next, we got a recap of Roddy and Joe's semifinal wins on Collision, which rolls us right into the main event, which is Roddy Strong versus Samoa and Joseph in the Grand Slam Eliminator Tournament Finals. It's been a long and grueling month-long tournament. What's that? It started last week? Oh, yeah. My mistake.
Exactly.
G1, this is not.
Nope.
Those losers take a month to do a tournament?
Get her done in a week.
What idiots do it in a week? This is what happens when you have like 3 shows, though. Because if it was just Dynamite or even just Rampage, like I feel like it would be different. But now we're like, you could do like an 8-man tournament is, as much as we joke about their small tournaments, is it's a good size for the TV tournament, right? 16's like I feel like if you want to do TV to pay-per-view tournament, and then I feel like 32 is like when you do like Cruiserweight Classic.
The entire
or UK.
show is special, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I feel like 8 is a perfectly appropriate TV tournament with all jokes aside. But when you do 3 shows and you just spam the tournament, it still feels like a short tournament because it's like it literally started last week. We saw 2 matches from the tournament, and now fast forward a week and we're in the finals.
Done.
Like it's crazy.
Yep.
Anyway, so Roddy beat Trent and Darby to get here, and Joe beat Jeff Hardy and Penta to get here.
I believe you.
There's a middle rope missile dropkick from Roddy for 2. Joe hit that combo where he does the inverted atomic drop, the big boot, and then running senton.
Yes.
Always love that.
Me too.
Roddy runs with a series of forearms because he's a stamina machine. He went for a corner clothesline, but Joe just smashed him with the Uranagi. I always love that. It looks so good. It's awesome. After distraction from Bennett, Strong connects with an Olympic slam, surprisingly, and a sick kick for near fall. Really nice. Roddy's got such a great move, so he's awesome. It's a shame he's never really connected in the charisma department, although lately at least he seems to be rounding himself out a bit. Roddy goes for a jumping knee, but gets just swatted out of the air with a lariat from Joe,
Looked awesome.
Eventually Joe cinches the Coquina clutch for the win. Post-match, Joe speaks little. He says it seems his prophecy has come true, and next week he goes to MJF's backyard and he's coming for him. He'll take everything he has, everything. Then Cole comes out, and then when Roddy does, immediately Roddy flops on the mat and starts shouting in pain about his neck and shouting at him, which I thought was really funny because he was perfectly fine. Like he was obviously hurt from the match, but he's walking out fine, help the Kingdom. And then as soon as Adam Cole comes out concerned, he just like starts playing it up, which I thought was really funny.
It's funny, I agree, but to nitpick it, it's almost making Cole start to look dumb because he keeps falling for it, right?
Yeah.
Which is not my favorite, but it does make me laugh.
Although I feel like this is the first time where Cole like. Where it looks like
Right.
Roddy's been faking it, so
Yes.
at least it's not like...
That's what I mean, just starting to.
Yeah.
I like the match, though. I thought it was...
And then, I like Joe choking Cole out on the ramp at the end. Too.
Yeah, that looked awesome.
That reminded me of NXT when he was the enforcer.
Right.
Because he choked out Cole.
I honestly thought Joe would target the neck more in this match because it wasn't... Like, I expected that's the story of this match, is Joe versus
Yeah,
neck.
it wasn't overly a factor.
It wasn't. And then I expected he would win with a muscle buster to get that over as a neck-destroying move heading into a match with MJF, who's selling a sore neck, right? Still like the match. These guys are awesome. I don't think it was a top-tier main event, but I enjoyed the match. And then Joe Badass promos are awesome. I really like that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the Roddy selling the neck as soon as Cole's around was pretty funny for sure. So kind of felt like most of the matches on this show, good, but not like anything anyone has to rush out and see. Quality TV stuff, but nothing amazing.
I thought it was pretty good as expected, though. I love both these guys in the ring. They're both sick, so naturally it was a good one. Honestly, would have cut out the tag match before this and just had a Christian promo on its own so that we could get more time for this. Maybe the women's, but preferably just give more time to this because I liked it.
Yep.
I would like longer this though because I really like I think they're really cool. If Roddy was a face, I think this could be a great TV title match because then you could have a feud behind this.
Yeah.
I think at another time they could do this.
Yep.
So nice words from Joe post match as well. I think it may be late for him, but I would still very much enjoy some form of title run for Joe. That's not ROH, obviously, like something where we get to see him more.
Yes.
Although I like that he's been on TV lately.
He can still be your top heel, I
Joe
think.
looked killer taking out Cole, absolute madman. Yeah, he still could be. I just think for the world title, as much as I love Joe, I'd much rather someone like Swerve, who's also at the top of his game, but still more in his prime, with all due respect to Joe, which is why, like, I think they really made a mistake killing the King of TV thing so soon because
it was awesome.
Don't get me wrong, I think Christian Luchasaurus are great, but I would still much prefer King of TV because then it also added something to the ROH title too because then it was like him having both makes him the King of TV, right? So I thought that was such an awesome thing that they really should have kept going longer because that is honestly the last time I remember like enjoying the TV title the TNT title was the Darby Open Challenge, and then Samoa Joe holding it, because I thought the King of TV, that was such a great gimmick.
It was fun.
It's honestly a really underrated little mini run for him. I think they should have really run with that, because that could have made maybe the TNT title would be looked at differently then, you know?
And if you needed to be a Haas title, he's still a Haas.
Yep.
Overall, I like the show. Not an A-level show for me, because I mean, the women's match was just kind of okay, and then that tag team match. The other matches were good. Opener, the main event, and there was one other one in there. Oh, Cage Page that we liked as well. Segment-wise, could have done without Jericho and Sammy, Outcasts, that kind of stuff. Everything else was okay. I feel like this was a solid B show to me. Like the in-ring work was overall pretty good, but nothing that I thought was amazing. Kind of the same for segments. So it's a solid B.
I think I'd have to agree. I think all the matches were like solid at best. I think the worst one was the women's match just being a little janky, but even then, not like a bad women's match inherently. Right. Opener was good. Cage Page probably my favorite. I don't know. It's between that and the main event, which is also pretty good. And then an enhancement tag that was perfectly fine. Segments were a little lower. I really enjoyed Callis and Takeshita.
Me too.
But I didn't like Jericho, Guevara, obviously, or anything Outcasts. Hook and Cassie's a little bit was solid. Blackpool was good. Anything Samoa Joe said after the match was good. So, like, yeah, perfectly solid show, but nothing that's going to blow you away. Nothing that's, like, you missed anything, really. So I would also go B show. Perfectly fine.
Yep. All right, so let's move into a little bit of our trivia. We'll challenge Jack to see what he knows about wrestling. Spoiler, it's a lot. It's called Off the Top of His Head. Okay, in honor of your boy, top in the PWI. I don't know if I've done this before. Again, doesn't really matter.
I feel like maybe, but
I went with his greatest championship matches. So I don't know if we've done that before. Right. And it gave me 12. So I'm going to give you the event, and you can tell me the match and whatever else you know that happened. Because I asked for a brief description, and that's always where it lets me down. So the event is Hell in a Cell 2015.
It is. We're going. Sorry, what was it?
So you're going to tell me the match, the type of match, if you want, because it's all championship matches. So
Rollins and Kane should be
for what title?
WWE title.
They said WWE World Heavyweight. So
technically, yeah, but
and what type of match?
It's the WWE title. It was when they called it that because it was post unification. So I'm right, but they're also right.
So and type of match?
It was a regular match.
Was it?
It was.
Because they're saying Rollins faced Kane in a Hell in a Cell match.
It wasn't. I specifically remember that it wasn't a Hell in a Cell match, and that was weird.
Interesting. Okay, TLC 2018.
2018. Oh, that'd be Ambrose.
For which title?
IC title.
Correct.
Should be standard, I think, as well. That match was surprisingly not amazing.
It just describes it as a brutal and emotional match.
It was normal.
Extreme Rules 2018.
Oh, Ziggler IC title, Iron Man.
Correct. Very good.
Remember, that was the one. Remember, the crowd kept doing the Royal Rumble countdown, and they had to take the clock off the stage.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
Crowd. WrestleMania 35.
Lesnar, red jam belt, and it was standard as well.
Yep. SummerSlam 2019.
The same thing.
What do you mean?
Lesnar red belt standard.
Correct.
That was Toronto one. That one's a really good one that I liked.
You don't. I think you're gonna get.
That was the
100%
one where
right.
he swung him around on the rib tape.
Oh yeah, I like that
one.
Just ragdoll.
Yeah.
Money in the Bank 2019.
Styles red belt normal match.
Correct. Wow. So far, AI
Also a good match.
doing well. They said it's the 7th best, so now we're on 6th. WrestleMania 34.
Balor, Miz, IC title, triple threat.
Correct.
Also a very nice match, I would say. That was the one where he wore like the Game of Thrones gear and he had the blue contacts in, if you
Look
remember.
at these details, folks. This is what I'm talking
And he had
about.
a special Tron too.
There's so much room of your brain is taken up with wrestling facts that we need to find a way to monetize it somehow.
This is why I don't remember school things as much.
Too full of wrestling stuff. Money in the Bank 2016.
Oh, I love that match. Roman.
They said it's the 5th best title match.
Roman WWE title or World Heavyweight, whatever you want to call
Yes.
it, but WWE title technically, and standard match.
Yep.
I love that. That match is really good. That was his like first big match when he returned, if you remember.
Yeah.
Because that's the one. Do you remember like he caught the spear with the pedigree?
Oh yeah.
It's that match.
We
And
enjoyed
then
that.
Ambrose Cash. That match is awesome. I love that. That's one of my favorite main roster matches of all time. I love that one.
WrestleMania 33.
The Triple H unsanctioned match.
Triple H is correct. They called it a non-sanctioned match, so I don't know who to
That's
believe.
the same thing, yeah. That's the one where he wore. So remember the entrance? Triple H and Steph came on the motorcycles.
Oh my god,
And
yeah.
It's the stage where, it's the
I
one.
do.
It's the Orlando one, right? So it had the theme park
Mhm.
theme to it, and it had like the longest ramp
Right,
you've ever seen. And then remember Rollins? He did the one where he had the gold gear and he had the torch, and he did it,
Yep.
and then the flames went
Yep.
down. I love that.
That looked cool.
That was awesome.
That was cool.
Especially because the long ramp was all LED'd, so
Yes.
like it was awesome.
I remember that.
Yeah.
SummerSlam 2015.
That was pre-burn it down. So
SummerSlam 2015.
Cena, which would be WWE title, US title for title standard
Correct.
match. AKA Jon Stewart match.
And Rollins won both, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Stewart one?
That's the Stewart one, yeah, and that's the
Gotcha.
one with the all white too. That's the debut of the all white.
This is too easy, eh? Two more.
Love
Number
it.
2 match for him. Money in the Bank 2014.
That would just be a Money in the Bank match.
No. Wrong.
Is it the one with Ambrose?
They're saying Ambrose.
That's 2015. So that would be a ladder match for the WWE title, but that's 2015. 2014 is when he won Money in the Bank.
So they seem to have merged a few things together because I asked for a brief description, right? So they said, here's ChatGPT. Money in the Bank 2014, Rollins versus Ambrose. Rollins faced his former Shield partner Dean Ambrose in a brutal ladder match for the Money in the Bank briefcase,
They definitely merged those.
which contained WWE World Heavyweight Championship contract. You know what
They definitely got it a little confused.
So do you know what someone's pitched? I wish I could give them credit. I don't know. We'll see.
I feel like at some point people are gonna think that's your cop out for not crediting people. It's like you keep forgetting.
I just can't. I gave Poison Rana credit for something today
Yeah,
already.
That's true. But
I guess
they're Canadians.
I
So
heard it somewhere in the wrestling universe.
the IWC.
Because what was it that Priest got a new case made by? Was it McDonough made it for him?
McDonough gave it to him.
So what if like McDonough gave him that one and it's empty, and Priest just never looks, and McDonough has the other one that
I
has
saw
it in it?
a thing. No, they put out a thing on the internet on YouTube that was they literally him and Balor did a thing where they put the contract in the
bummer.
new case.
Because that would have been cool.
I saw that and
he goes to
that would
cash
be-
in and it's not there.
I hate that they put
and
the
McDonough runs down after him with it.
Imagine
That would be sick.
McDonough wins the title. That'd be crazy.
That's a fun storyline.
Yeah, that makes me annoyed that they actually like showed
Not-
them switching the contract. You know what I mean?
And the only reason I say it's someone else's idea because I don't want people to think it's mine because it's not. I thought it was a good idea though.
yeah,
that's cool.
But that makes it dumb because then that's the only time I don't know if they've ever actually shown the contract in there. It's like now I wish they could do that because that'd be interesting.
And then the number one here, getting back to the trivia, WrestleMania 31.
That's a weird. I don't.
So what was it? Was it a match?
It was when he cashed in Money in the Bank.
Correct, and
So,
that's their number one here.
That's
because it's historic. Who did he
That's-
cash it in? What was happening?
against Lesnar and Roman,
Correct.
and then it was for the WWE title or World Heavyweight.
Oh, right.
whatever.
So he made it a triple threat.
Yeah,
Because
but
he's
I
a
think
baby
that's
face at that point, obviously.
no
So why would he wait? Why wouldn't he wait until somebody won?
Because they were both down, and
Oh.
I guess he just kind of took advantage.
Okay,
Plus,
okay.
then he pins Roman instead of pinning Brock.
So he came in mid-match? I don't remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's like they were both beating the crap out of each other, and people actually really praised that match. And then so they're both down after beating the crap out of each other. Then Rollins music hits. He bolts down in the ring, cashes in. I think he stomps Roman and kicks him out. Then he stomps Brock or something like that. He goes for it again. He goes for no, he kicks Roman out, then he stomps Lesnar, then he goes to stomp Lesnar again, but he gets caught for an F5, but then Roman spears Lesnar, Rollins gets out, then Rollins stomps Roman and gets the win.
Nice.
Weird thing I remember is that you know how we had those WWE comics that we just randomly found for a while?
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, they're all Shield related.
Yeah, because you love the Shield.
Actually, I know I have some other ones now, but most of the ones were Shield related. But anyways, when they retell that thing, they did it with the pedigree. Because I think they were made in the period where the curb stomp was persona non grata.
Right.
So I always thought that was interesting because he was using the stomp then. It was before he started adopting the pedigree. So I don't know. That's interesting. I think that's such a weird choice to put for his best matches though, because it's definitely his best moment of all time, but it's not one of his best matches.
He wasn't even in the match fully.
It's like, yeah, it doesn't really count. Like, I don't know. That's just kind of...
How dare you?
That's kind of dumb.
But anyways, you absolutely crushed that. No, not even that many mistakes from AI to make it interesting.
No, I think they made I would only go one mistake and then a questionable choice.
It's crazy. They're getting better.
Yeah.
But
they're catching up to me. I don't like it.
We'll switch back to talking about wrestling in a segment where we can talk about whatever else we watched this week in the world of wrestling, and that's Highspots and Restholds. All right, let's start up Monday Night Raw. What do you have for us there?
I have one for there and then 2 SmackDowns.
Perfect.
My one Resthold, I think you know what it is.
I did. I think I do.
Nia Jax returning.
Yeah.
And
hooray!
She attacked Raquel, cost her her match, and then beat Rhea Ripley. Yay!
Yeah.
New title challenger. Woohoo!
And I was telling you, I watched a video today and I know who it was. I can give proper credit. It was Stevie Richards breaking down her return, and he claims, and I've seen a bunch of his or some of his stuff, that he tries to stay positive and whatever, and he's not looking to pile.
I respect that.
Not looking to pile on, but he did point out a couple of things within her brief return here that were already unsafe. He thought the Samoan drop, and he slows it down and shows it frame by frame. It was full weight onto Gonzalez.
I think that's cool though, because that's something like that he would pick up on better because he wrestled.
Right.
So I think that's actually kind of
cool. And also the bonsai drop. He was pointing out how to.
And of course, Nia Jax does a bonsai drop because that's what people do in modern day wrestling, right?
To lighten the impact, she is to hold on to the top ropes the whole time if she can, and she releases, and so that's full weight coming down on Rhea as well to some degree. And then he also pointed out I
just don't trust her.
He's like, not to be whatever, but a lot of the women in this company have implants, and if she puts full weight down a little bit too high, you're risking
say what you want about implants,
a rupture and a medical situation, right?
Yeah, that's I just don't trust her, and it's like part of it's I don't trust her in the ring because she.
And why do we need her?
She
what
injured,
is she?
Right, she injured Kyrie. She's injured Becky before. Yeah. She's injured. I'm pretty sure she got Bailey once. And then she's just bad. Yeah. Like she's always been bad.
Yep.
And I thought the Rumble was a one-off, and now I'm just kind of concerned. She's not good. Sometimes there's cause I'm not gonna size shame or whatever, because that's not.
And big women in wrestling are awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome Kong's one of my favorite ever.
Right, big people in general. There's some that are great. Not all of them are immobile, but she's not one of the good ones. And I don't want to say I'm not commenting on size. That's not my problem, but I just don't think in that realm she's not even one of the good ones.
And possibly dangerous.
She is.
Yeah,
she is.
So that was it for Raw, you said?
Yeah, it's really not much. I don't know. It's hard to it's just boring right now.
That's fine. That's what you're here to just pick what you liked or didn't like. NXT High Spot. For me, it was Wesley, Ilya Dragunov. And it's funny because both of them are so good and on such a roll right now. Even as the match was starting, I'm already getting my notes ready. NXT High Spot. There was almost no chance it wasn't going to be. And it was. Really simple story. So they're both baby faces right now, but they both feel like they should get the next title match. And this match was to decide the number one contender. And I think that's why the face-face dynamic wasn't a big deal.
There's been a lot of number one contender because Dragunov got his spot beating Breaker, Wesley got his beating Dijak, and now that's kind of interesting.
And it's just easy, right? They're both professionals. They have the same goal. They have to compete for it, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You had Dragunov hitting a German suplex to Lee onto the announce table. You had Lee with a nice counter at one point into a Spanish fly for a near fall. You had Dragunov countering a head scissor with a hard knee to the gut and then a really stiff clothesline for a near fall. Dragunov actually catches a cardiac kick attempt, but then Lee counters that into a DDT. Looks good. Lee does that spot where he dives over the corner to the floor, but he kind of overshot it here and barely contacted Dragunov. Then we got a big superplex, diving forearm by Dragunov for a near fall. And I don't know, that forearm always looks so good, and it's such a simple thing.
Oh, yeah, the one where he's like kind of coming down on him. Yeah.
Then Torpedo Moscow is countered with a high knee, but as Lee catches his breath for a second, Dragunov quickly fires up, hits that falling forearm to the back of Lee's neck, picks up the win after 13 minutes. Really good competitive TV match. These are two of the guys that make NXT really fun to watch. I think you're sleeping on NXT a little bit right now, and you should probably get back to it because you're guaranteed a couple of good matches every week. There's just a group of high-quality performers, and whatever combination they're in, they're kind of delivering. So if they're given enough time. So no chance this wouldn't have been a lot of fun. Really good opener, I thought. And question to you, do you have Mello lose to Dragunov?
No.
See, I think maybe you do.
I think Mello's too good, though. I don't think
then,
so. I don't think he's had enough of a run, though.
To me, if Dragunov loses, then he has to go.
Yeah, I think that's
Which
better.
I don't like either, but...
I don't know. I feel like they've set the precedent with Gunther and some other people that it's not necessarily a death sentence now.
No.
And I think, honestly, I feel like then if Mello loses, maybe he has to go. And I don't...
Right.
I feel like Mello hasn't gotten the run he deserves yet. I think he's built himself up, or he's been built up to the point where he deserves to have a good run. I don't think he should... And plus, I think the story is, from what I've seen, he's doubting that can beat Dragunov on his own. And I think the vindication is he beats Dragunov on his own.
Or
I feel like him losing to Dragunov is kind of like proves everyone right.
Or
kinda.
Dragunov wins, and that proves Mello does need Trick, and Trick's like, haha, you do need me, and they spin off into that.
But they're not feuding. Their things only kind of
But they're
opposite,
slow building towards that a little, it looks like, though. But
anyway,
anyways.
I think Mello wins. I don't like him losing.
I feel like Dragunov could win. I don't know what I want to have happen. I'm kind of cool either way, but... Then we had... I think I'm leaning towards liking it. So at the end of last week, right, they had to... everything go black as Braun Breaker was attempting to murder Von Wagner with the steps. And I guess they did a really good job live of making it seem that it was real for the people in attendance and stuff. And Vic comes on and apologizes for some of the comments he made in the heat of the moment last week. And
what did he say?
I don't know what he said exactly, but clearly something like he was acting outraged and maybe like something slipped out, like he cursed or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He says that Vaughn's been diagnosed with a minor skull fracture, and given Vaughn's history of skull surgery, right? Obviously, this is a big deal, and I don't think there's a timeline for return. And you know what? This does make Braun look like an absolutely despicable monster, right? Considering we've been told and shown Vaughn's childhood skull issues and the pictures of it and how crazy that procedure is.
That's true when you put it like that.
And so now he's trying to like smash the guy's head between steel steps. And I also think that this is going to be a huge babyface reaction for Vaughn when he comes back, right? So he has been gaining momentum here. I'm not saying I love the guy, but they found a way better way to present him. That's pretty undeniable. I actually liked Braun and Corbin. They sort of had a face-to-face meeting in the ring, so it's weird because we get a babyface match to start, and then we get a heel in-ring segment before this. With Corbin sort of gushing over Braun crushing Wagner's skull last week. And it's kind of like he's there, I'm the veteran heel, right? I'm like king of the heels, and I really thought you did it. And Braun's just like, I don't care, which I really liked. He's just like, you don't need to pat me on the back, dude. I don't really care what you think of me. And Braun is basically like, he has bloodlust now. He's so proud of what he did to Von Wagner. He just wants to keep doing it. So Corbin starts bragging about ending two Olympians' careers, right? Standing toe-to-toe with The Undertaker.
Olympians? Oh, wait. Because Corbin.
Yeah.
I thought you said Braun. I was like, what?
And that he's saying that Braun is not on Corbin's level. And Braun simply does not care. And he says the only thing left for them is to fight at No Mercy. Corbin says something like, who did Braun face before? Was it Dijak? Anyways. Because he's like, I'm not so-and-so, and then he slaps. I can't remember what he said. Either. But anyways. I like Braun is becoming like a supervillain now, and he's just bloodthirsty, right? And he has absolutely no friends, has issues with everyone, wants approval from nobody, heel or face. I think that's a cool route, like the lone wolf kind of, no pun intended there with Corbin. But I thought this was a pretty good segment. Got a fair amount done in a few minutes. And just notable, I'm mentioning it, Miles Bourne showed his true colors. The match was really hectic and short. He was joining with Briggs and Jensen, right?
Oh no.
But Jensen had a spinning heel kick to Kemp that looked awesome. I'll say that much. But anyways, Bourne turns on the rednecks, as I call them, and spins Jensen into the ring post head first, leading to Kemp pinning Jensen after 4 minutes with a Uranagi neckbreaker. So basically, Bourne is a heel, double cross Jensen and Briggs. Notable.
Wasn't he already with them, though?
No, he was.
Or wasn't he already with the heels?
Oh, yeah. And he just left them for that match. But then I guess that was all a setup. So
For what? That's dumb.
For the heels, I guess. I don't know.
They set them up. They set up the. That's stupid.
I did not really enjoy JC and Thea together again. So this week they're backstage. Thea has turned off her show location to Duke Hudson. I guess, is that a thing people do?
On Snap you can do that. I know.
Okay. So JC and Thea Hale are approached by two guys. It looks like developmental talent or whatever. And then this segment goes off a cliff because they're super juvenile and like acting like they're 9-year-olds, asking Hale if she's out past her bedtime, and just all the implications of you're so young and small and whatever. And so JC Jane starts to stick up for her, attacks one of them while Hale attacks the other. And Thea Hale says based on this bullying, she wants a new mature look so people won't make fun of her.
Oh God!
So I guess
it's the movie makeover trope.
Correct. JC Jane is taking her shopping. So get ready. What do you get? What's your prediction? 3 shopping vignettes next week, I would guess?
I would probably go
it's
with
either
that,
1 or 3.
What are we predicting look-wise? I'd probably I'm going like
black jeans,
black leather vest, maybe with some
could
some
be
spikes.
darker hair, dark makeup. Soon as they go,
for sure, black lipstick.
Yeah, for
sure. Maybe some eyeshadow, like some really dark eyeshadow. So. Yeah, like longer eyelashes. Because
they're gonna go from the wholesome girl next door to something extreme.
The girl who lives more doors down.
Right. Yeah, it was not a great segment. I also did not enjoy Dana Brooke versus Lyra Valkyria.
Get out.
Or not.
No.
I thought Brooke looked like she landed a shoot back elbow to Lyra's face early, and then she pulled Lyra off the ropes, and she landed really hard. So my question was like, is this as she clearly Dana Brooke's about to become a heel, and is that just they're gonna let her work stiff? Like your heel thing is you can just go out and hurt people legit? Sounds like a bad idea to me. But anyways, Lyra looked okay. There was a lengthy cravat by Dana Brooke in a really short match, which is always appreciated. A nice
wrestling
Resthold
wizard
in there. So spin kicks splash as Valkyria wins in 3 minutes. Brooke shakes hands, and then Lyra sort of turns her back, and it looks like Brooke is getting ready to attack Lyra. But Kalani Jordan stops her, and then sort of Brooke relents and kind of is fake okay with it. Short match to further an angle I don't care about, right? But there are a couple decent spots that grab my attention. Valkyria is good. Brooke is not at all. And then they announced, I think that this is where they announced that the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament's coming back and coming soon. So we'll see how that goes. I did like there was a about medium length, I would say, Becky Lynch interview where she talked about her original time in NXT, that no one thought she was championship material, and now she's back to win the title. Kiana James interrupts and says she doesn't want Lynch around, and Becky takes that as an application for a beating after she wins the title. I thought it was quick and effective. Kind of makes sense. Becky's back after that one title she's never had, right? And at this point, I said I sort of think she'll win to create a bit of an awkward situation without even knowing the finish. This is where I said, who could possibly be positioned to beat Becky Lynch on the roster at NXT?
If it's not Stratton, right?
If the title changes hands, who could possibly beat her?
Yeah.
So, really liked Axiom Tyler Bate. Again, Global Invitational. This is Group A. Another face-face matchup, which I find interesting on this show, right? And it was almost all about Axiom counters, which sort of spoiled who was going to win for me, but that's okay. It was still really fun to watch. You had Axiom moonsault to the floor, barely made contact, and then he hit his back of his head on the announce table. Really stiff penalty kick by Axiom at one point. He also countered the rebound lariat that Bate does into a Spanish fly. And then because the thing is, Dara is up in the old, what was it, the Toxic Lounge? So they've got it set up for the metaphor, and his costume.
Yeah,
he's wearing like
that was awesome.
An inflatable like safari costume where he's like riding an elephant. Looked ridiculous. We get an airplane spin countered into a nice Poison Rana by Axiom. A nice brainbuster by Bate for a near fall, and then a super Spanish fly for 2 from Axiom. Then Axiom counters a couple more moves, but eventually gets hit with the rebound lariat and a Tyler driver. Bate wins after 10 minutes. Really good TV match between more of the reliable talent on this show every week. And it was almost all about Axiom until the finish, and they really highlighted Axiom's countering ability in this one. And then Bate kind of picked up the sudden win, but a good match. High spot. Look at that. I put it accidentally, buddy. Retro. Pete Dunne talks about his long history with Tyler Bate, dating back to being 15 years old, he talks about here. And he even says, quote, Tyler brings out the bruiser. So that was like, I was like, yes, let's go.
Honest, NXT is the perfect ground to just bring him back and then just sever him from the Brawling Brutes. I don't care if there's like any reason for it. Just do it.
I thought Butch sounded good here. Really, it was really quick. And the match should be amazing if given time, right? These two are fantastic.
Watch that.
I would love to believe that the mention of Bruiser foreshadows the return of the
They've called Butch the Bruiser before, which I feel like before they're teasing me, but it feels different.
Yeah. The Resthold, I actually did put the Schism segment in here, so I talked about it earlier. Fallen Tree, blah, blah, blah. It looks like they're on to something new. Who cares? But then the dumbest part of this, I thought, was that, and they've done this a bunch on NXT, is Trick is watching that segment on a tablet backstage, which I just find strange. I don't know how that works in the universe of things.
I guess, because it gets broadcast live, but then is he watching himself when he cuts to him? Like,
right. It's always interesting to me. At least it wasn't like a group. One time, remember, it was like 8 of the women watching.
They were
on
watching
like a
the
small
underground
tablet.
or whatever. Yeah.
Then we do get Mello and Trick. I'm still liking this. Mello continues to sort of pull away. He wants no help with Dom next week because we're gonna have champ versus champ non-title next week. But Trick Trick's kind of like, yeah, but when I said I wanted to do, like, I didn't want to be this separated, right? He didn't think it meant like we're just not gonna do anything together anymore. He was kind of like, we'll do our own thing, but we'll support each other. Where Mello's like, no, I want to do it all by myself. Mello assures them they're good as Wesley is behind them, sort of cleaning out his locker. And in a segment later, his wife is there to pick him up and he's leaving the building, implying that he's like done sort of thing with NXT. And I'm still enjoying the slow burn of Mello and Trick's relationship. You can see now they're starting to reveal like this isn't exactly what Trick wanted. Despite Trick suggesting like we go our own way, he didn't think it would be quite this severe. So I kind of like that. Just noticing there were 3 really short matches on this show, not quite to like 2.0 era, but one of them was Fraser beat Tozawa in 2 minutes, so not really worth mentioning. I did like Mustafa Ali again and Dragon Lee. He was almost doing the politician thing, which he abandoned. That is Mustafa Ali I'm talking about for a few weeks. So he's really smarmy, right? Like he's clearly being insincere, and he's just like, oh, maybe I did win by fast count, but there's really nothing you can do about it. Like, what can you do? That wasn't my fault. It happened, right? So I kind of like what he's doing there. A notable, didn't really feel anything either way about it. You guessed it right away. A hooded figure attacks Davenport backstage, and it was Gigi Dolan.
Yeah.
So you were around for
a
bit
of
an
orange hair, and it's just like, oh my
it's
God,
her.
Who could it be?
Yeah. I did like the main event, right? It was Tiffany Stratton defending against Becky Lynch. Lynch ends up winning in 14 minutes with a manhandle slam. I thought this was a really, really good match and a like super strong evidence that Stratton may be ready for main roster now. Not that she couldn't get better, but working with somebody as good as Becky Lynch, who I think Becky Lynch is fantastic. Like Stratton looked really good, as good as she ever has, I think. Becky gave her a lot, especially in sort of the mid portion of this, or first half maybe. There was a table spot that didn't go as planned, right? The table just did not break, but it looked like it would have hurt Stratton even more, possibly. And Stratton, I don't remember seeing it. Her swanton, I showed you that too because you were around for that. Looked really nice.
Yeah, that was cool.
I thought this was a really strong main event, and I said take notes AEW because it's women in the main event and women being given 15 minutes to put on an awesome match.
Nah.
Okay, so this is where I wanted to ask you your thoughts on Lynch with the title.
No.
And why?
I don't know. I just think it's dumb.
Awkward,
and also,
right?
it like I don't think like the Grand Slam's not. I feel like the Grand Slam's only important I feel like you should only be chasing the last title if it's like on the. I don't think
going back and chasing a lesser
I don't like her
belt?
going back to chase the belt just for the Grand Slam. I feel like if it's only better if like let's say she hasn't won the SmackDown title yet, do that.
Right.
But like I don't know, just because. Now there's like the whole weird dynamic.
It's like
who's gonna beat her?
It's like being a pro athlete and going back and winning a minor league championship
because the only one you didn't win.
Right.
Like it doesn't really work for me.
And I don't know. Does she end up relinquishing it? Does she lose it back to Stratton? Are they confident they can build someone to that level?
So Sikoa must be really mad now.
Right. He's gonna come back to get his Grand Slam eventually.
I guess.
And win that. So yeah, I just don't know what you do now that she has the title, but I guess we'll see. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe something. Impact quickly. The opening segment, I liked it, and I can't believe I'm saying this because it was like half an hour long, but I enjoyed it. So it was, and I thought this was really smart because they focused on the knockouts division and the legacy of that, right? So it's Gail Kim. I'll try and list everyone I think that comes out. I think I got it all. Gail Kim, beautiful people come out, but not Madison Rain and the other tailorable one, Lacey Von Erich. Was she in that for a bit? I feel
Was
like
she?
she was.
I
Anyways,
don't even know who that is.
it was just the original two. It was Angelina Love and oh my God, Velvet Sky. Both looked good. They look a lot of these veterans looked really similar to their prime. Giselle Shaw comes out, Jordan Grace comes out, Deonna Purrazzo comes out, Trinity comes out, Awesome Kong, even with Raisha Saeed, which I thought was cool. And then, even though I like her, it felt out of place. The returning Tasha Steeles among all these, right? Like,
I saw that. Was
not quite
weird.
at that level. And I like her, but she's not, I don't know. Anyways, and then Mickey James, obviously. So I thought this was great because there were times where the Knockouts division was keeping this company afloat, in my opinion. It was the Awesome Kong, Gail Kim era was fantastic stuff.
Especially in comparison. It probably helps that WWE era was
exactly
not that.
Because that was Divas era-ish, right? Probably.
For sure.
So it's also setting up a multi-woman tag match for next week with all of the heels and faces separating and facing each other. But I'm shocked to say like almost a half hour. For me, it was nostalgia because I've watched almost all Impact throughout.
You are nostalgic.
And I liked, it was interesting to see them because the Knockouts division was a huge thing for this company.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the Feast or Fired match we got. I think this is one of those Impact gimmick matches they're willing to take chances with that actually works. I find the match itself is interesting because you get scaffolding and cases to fight over. They also add the little rule of it's not enough to get the case down. You've got to get to the floor. So not even in the ring, you're still like in jeopardy there, right? And then it also creates suspense because they don't tell you who got what case until a later date.
Probably next week because
no, unfortunately
not next week because it's the second part of 1000.
They're making, and this has annoyed me. That's why I sound annoyed. I believe they said on the show that they're going to be doing it on that stupid Busted Open podcast that I'll never see. So I'll just see a summary of it somewhere.
That's dumb.
They're just trying to draw people to their other media. I get it, but it won't work.
Bully Ray's
won't work
podcast.
for me. Exactly. So 3 in this case, remember, I was like, I don't even remember what's in them. It was 3 cases have title opportunities, and 1 is you're fired, basically, right? So
it's a way to, I'd find it funny if this is like a legitimate thing where it's like this is
they
their
don't
way
know. It's a shoot.
More like this is their way of axing someone they want to get rid
Yeah.
of. It's like they want to get rid of Bully Ray, for example.
Gone.
They give him the
Great
that
choice,
case,
by the way.
Thank you.
It's
just on the top of my mind.
Honestly, it seemed like a million wrestlers were in this. I couldn't even tell you who all was in it. And there's action all over the place. I did notice a section where Black Taurus looked really good, especially there was a part with Laredo Kid. I know Laredo Kid countered something into a Poison Ron. It looked awesome. Don't know why they don't. You do more with Taurus. Anyways, Chris Bay grabs the first case, and then he's in the ring. He has to get to the floor, so he does a big dive over top of everybody to get to the floor. Then we have Crazy Steve grabbing the next case.
Give him an X division.
And he ends up stabbing Moose with a fork in the stomach to get to the floor and earn the case. Yuya Uemura claims the third case.
Imagine Crazy Steve gets fired and he just goes nuts on everybody.
Yeah, maybe, because I was going to say clearly it's not him because they just put a whole bunch of... But yeah, they could storyline that, I guess.
Yeah.
So Yuya grabs the third case. There was a bit of like monkey in the middle with Sami Callihan as Yuya and Henry toss it back and forth. Macklin grabs the final case, but it actually got a pretty good reaction. I don't know why. Rhino returns, surprisingly, and gores Macklin, and they did a good job of this. The case goes flying over the ropes, and Moose catches it, so he has the final case. I think the whole thing got 14 minutes about. I thought it was really fun, and I'm asking you, who do you think gets fired? So
what are the options again?
Steve, Moose, Yuya, and Chris Bay. Yuya's excursion done? That was my guess.
That's my guess. I'm either going
I'm afraid it's Bay. It's not Crazy Steve, unless you're right, storyline, but I don't think they do that.
So I think it's probably Yuya, just because, his excursion's done.
But they just put him in a new tag team that's over. So that's confusing, too. But it's good that I don't know. Moose just signed a new contract, okay? So I'm guessing not him. Crazy Steve, they just repackaged is a strong word, but
Chris Bay's also in the team, though, and I would argue his team's better than, what's it, Joya or something?
Joya, yeah.
Yeah, so
They seem
I
to be
would
putting a lot behind Steve. Moose just re-signed. Yuya, new
I'd say
tag team.
Bay because I think they put the least into Yuya, but then I think there's a possibility like I think if they do the Crazy Steve thing, that would be an amazing call for me. Like we're going back if Crazy Steve gets fired, we're going back to that.
It
I
could,
feel like either Crazy Steve gets fired or I'd probably have him beat Saban for that belt.
I don't know if they've ever done the fired as an angle or not. They probably
I think they
have.
should though.
They
I
could,
think
for
it'd be
sure.
cool because Crazy Steve would just be a madman.
He would. I'm enjoying him a lot right now.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
think it'd be. I'm willing to call that.
All right.
You know?
A high spot. It's funny because I texted you as it was happening, and I'm like, Rohit's back on Impact because I love Rohit. I thought he improved a ton in the ring. Super charismatic, a really, really good like mouthy heel. I thought, and so I texted you like Rohit is back, and then basically like 2 minutes later, never mind. He's just there to get squashed by the Dudleys, right? So
That's awesome.
it looks like just a one-off for Rohit, unfortunately, because he was signed with he was on AEW, right? He was on some of the internet ones. I'm almost positive.
Yeah, he was on Dark for a while.
High spot. I thought a mixed tag. Not saying it was an amazing match, but it over delivered for me. And that's Eddie and Alicia taking on Kaz and Tracy Brooks. I think, and this is a bold statement, I think I'm kind of getting into the ride or die mega heel Alicia and Eddie, with Alicia being kind of the mouthpiece. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think it's happening. They found a way to get me interested in two people I'm generally not interested in, right? So that's impressive. Decent action, pretty solid back and forth, and decent heel work from Alicia. And Tracy ends up getting the win. She hits the fade to black on Alicia after 9 minutes. Well, that's what Kaz calls it, I think, right? No, not allowed. So Kaz gets on the mic after, and I don't think Tracy Brooks knew this. So they show a big highlight reel of her, which not trying to be mean, I called a little hyperbolic, because they were basically saying like she is like the key to women's whatever in Impact. But anyway, she's going to be part of the Hall of Fame, and her reaction leads me to believe that she did not know this was coming. So that was a pretty cool moment. Resthold Dreamer has the digital championship. He does
an old man with the digital media title.
And guess what? He does like an emotional promo as all he does. So it's lost all meaning to me. He's going to defend it anywhere, anytime, making it sound like maybe it'll be on the indies and stuff too. So fine, good, great. Main event. I didn't get all of it, but I liked it. Impact went into Overrun this week, and I have it on my DVR recording, and I don't have it set for Overrun because it never happened, so I'll have to go back and adjust it, because I'll add a few more minutes. But it was Lio Rush defending his X Division title against Sabin. After Rush won the first time they faced each other, he brutally attacked Sabin before the match and then won fairly easily.
Oh, yeah.
So they sort of teased that spot happening again, but the bell had actually rung this time. Anyways, I really enjoyed what I saw, but again, didn't see it all. But just the combined quickness of these two, because Sabin is super, super quick, right? Like, and then Lio Rush is next level. So lots of good stuff here. I didn't see the end. I had to look it up. Sabin ended up winning with the Cradle Shock after 16 minutes. So he is the first and only 10-time X Division champion. And I like that they decided, much like the Knockouts division, I think the planning of this show, bookending it, these are the two divisions that kept this company afloat for much of Impact's existence. The X Division was what was like unique and had the best wrestlers and delivered the high quality matches, and the Ultimate X stuff was really cool. So I really think they were smart to be like, we understand that a lot of our legacy is Knockouts and X Division that carried this company, because it was something, like you said, and I kind of forgot, the Knockouts division was clearly different than the Diva division. If you wanted to actually see women wrestlers wrestling and not like fitness models and other models,
and bra and panty matches,
and this is what you watched. And if you wanted to see like smaller, super athletic,
almost like WCW Cruiserweight, but obviously the X division's a little beyond that, because it's a little more like
and
whatever.
Then the on top they'd throw Samoa Joe in it too, because it's about no limits, right? So I really like that they know that's the, like they say, the side their bread is buttered on or whatever, and that they acknowledge that. So kind of an interesting
the
impact.
Pillars of the company.
And they're stretching it across 2 weeks, so it'll be another 1,000th episode, even though it's the 1,001st episode.
That's kind of like when WWE does WrestleMania 25 as the 25th anniversary.
Right. So, anyways, that's all I have. Did you have anything from last night's SmackDown?
Yeah, a couple Restholds.
Nice, hit me.
More Restholds. Resthold was The Rock returning on SmackDown to beat up Theory and tease Mina, which is lame. It's just really random. It came out of nowhere. And also, I know the theory experiment failed, but I really think he could still work as a douchey heel if they reworked him and actually tried.
Yeah.
So I think he had a lot of potential, and it's just a shame to see him become cannon fodder in the weeks after dropping the title. He's lost to LA Knight a couple times. He's just been chumped lately.
I think they should put him with someone who can talk for him for a while. Because I don't know. There's something.
He'd be a perfect Paul Heyman guy.
Yeah, they tried, and he's just coming across as super generic, right?
Right, like I'm saying, there's potential there.
All of the stuff that Cena said to him in that WrestleMania build is
unfortunately true.
Very true, and it hasn't really changed.
Yeah, like even a Cena win really did nothing. Like no. I think there's potential for him, so I'm just disappointed they're really not trying.
Yep, that's fair.
Then another Resthold is the Bloodline nonsense continues, and I can confidently say it's far jumped the shark by now.
And what update me?
I just I think people were talking about jumping the shark. I think it's most definitely jumped. Like,
what did they do?
Way over. It's just. I just think it's just. We're done with this now. I just think it's.
So it's still
should have ended.
Reigns, Sikoa, and
Jimmy, and then Jay's gone. Like I don't know. Just like I'll talk about it in a second, but I just think that it should have been done. I just think.
Yeah.
It's jumped the shark, and now it's just like it's a bunch of nonsense and just like. There's not a clear directive. There's not a clear payoff going. Roman's not even there. Sammy's not involved. Like
they're
it's
just trying to wring every last drop.
I think
it's
been wrung out.
It's been wrunged.
I think yeah. Jimmy's now like kind of in the bloodline again, but like because he's but Heyman said Jimmy thinks he's in the bloodline, but he's like he's not. But he's like, is he trying to be? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Because he's like kind of helping them. He's kind of affiliated now, but then Jay's gone. Like because. The Usos wanted out before because Roman was being a tyrant. Now Jay's on Raw, and so like Jimmy's trying to get back in, which is kind of weird. Now Solo's kind of like fill up Roman because Roman can't be bothered to show up. And I just think they failed to capitalize on the SummerSlam incident because I feel like the Usos match was money, and they could have had Jay win, and that's your payoff, and then whatever. And they could have capped things off there. Now it's just in limbo, and it's gonna end on a damn squib no matter what because it's already. Yeah,
and it's like
maybe it should have ended after the Usos beat Roman, but I don't know.
Who's in, who's out? Like people are at some point, you're just like it's overdone.
It's kind of like NWO, where it's
never
like,
ending.
Who's in?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just
it's too bad.
It's fell off. It's jumped the shark. It's done. It's not good anymore.
Can't say it's surprising for WWE to like beat a dead horse. You know,
I think the dead horse died a couple months ago, and they've just been beating it relentlessly for weeks on end.
Too bad.
Which sucks because this was the greatest thing they've done in years, and it's
one of their best stories ever of all time. I would suggest at peak Bloodline. I feel like there were a couple peaks there. Those two peaks were.
It feels like a memory now.
With Zayn, the Zayn stuff being the second peak, and then some stuff before that. But yeah, now it's just like. They're just trying to get more money out of this, and it's not working anymore. But
I don't know. I think the well's dry.
I think so, too. But speaking of well being dry, I think the well of 165 here is dry. You said there was no updates for figuring it out, so we'll come back to that next week. So thanks for joining us. I guess we'll throw out our contact information, which I never do, and I don't think anyone's listening by the very last, which is probably why smart podcasters do this at the beginning, because who's listening here? But fnswrestling@gmail.com if you want to email me. FNS_wrestling_podcast on Instagram goes to Jack. He might reply. He might look. Who knows?
Think about it.
He doesn't really do it. If you're listening on YouTube, comment there. I'll definitely reply to you. I know I'll hear from a couple people every week. I always do, and I really do appreciate it. Lets me know people are listening. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here next Saturday for 166. And until then, everybody, take care.